to Netflix.
To Netflix.
Oh my God. So if you've been listening to the podcast for over a year, God, it was a while ago. It might have been a year and a half ago where we had a conversation where I was talking about cutting out like monthly payments, like just random shit that I had that all had like monthly fees, and I was starting to pull back on them. This must have been summer of 19 when we talked about this.
Yeah, I remember.
And one of the casualties of that was Netflix. Because at the time, Netflix was getting kind of stale. There was no really good original content that really appealed to me, and it went to the wayside. Well, recently, Kristen wanted to watch something on Netflix. I don't remember what it was, but she resubscribed herself with her own money to Netflix. And that was fine. I reaped the benefits. I got the login. But even then, I would rarely get on there except to watch like the newest Chappelle stand-up specials or whatever. But we've always had it. I went on this trip recently, and we'll get to all that when we get into our weeks. And I put Netflix on my iPad, and I didn't realize this. I don't know how long they've been doing this now, but you can actually download shows and movies from Netflix onto your fucking iPad and watch them later when you're offline. Like, I didn't know that they did that. I don't think they've always done it that way. But
no, not in the early days for sure.
Yeah. So, it was Tiger King, she said. She's in the chat right now, actually. So, but yeah. And so on a whim, I downloaded a bunch of stuff from Netflix. Now, one thing that I was excited about was they acquired the rights to Cobra Kai, the TV show, the sequel to Karate Kid, which I watched the first season when it came out on YouTube back in 18. Fucking loved it. But for whatever reason, I never got a chance to get around to watching season 2. So I downloaded all of season 2 to the iPad. I also, on a whim, I had heard some rumblings about the show called The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
Are you a chess player, by the way? I don't know if we've ever had this conversation. All right. So you've played.
Not nearly as much as I used to.
Oh, yeah. Same here. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
All right. So on a whim, I decided to download the first episode of that. Just real quick again, before we move past this, watch the second season of Cobra Kai. I binge watched the whole thing over the course of like 2 flights flying down to New Mexico. Fucking awesome, dude. They are killing it with this fucking show. Cobra Kai has exceeded everyone's expectations. It's fucking phenomenal. If you watched The Karate Kid back in the 80s and you enjoyed it, fucking watch Cobra Kai if you haven't been already. Amazing, amazing show. And then this Queen's Gambit, right? I watched the first episode of that as I was flying home the other day. Dude, that first episode had me hooked. I was pissed I didn't download the rest of it. So I'm going to have to finish watching that show at some point in the coming weeks.
And Kathy was super into that show.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I've only seen the first episode, but it already had me hooked. So I'm really looking forward to watching more of this. And it just kind of brought me back to playing chess too. I'm like, oh man, I miss playing chess.
Yeah, I haven't watched the show, but Kathy speaks highly of it. And I saw, it might have been a meme or I saw an article about it. Like, apparently chess has got like the Netflix bump right now.
Yes.
Because it's like bringing like so many more people into just either playing chess, going to chess.com or downloading chess games, just getting the sales of chess, pieces and boards has gone up. So it's been a popular show for that. And you know what? Good on him. I know my son Jeff, he still is super active, like, plays like in ranked stuff.
Oh, really?
Online. Kate's boyfriend, he's also a ranked
Jason Mantzoukas guy.
What's that?
Jason Mantzoukas?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, so I would love to get back into it. We should do that. We should play chess on the show.
Ooh, we could stream it. I don't know who would really care. We could do like drunken chess. Like we could play.
Yeah, that's right.
We play chess.
Each time a move is made or one of us fucks something up, we have to take a drink. Yeah, that could be an awful drunk show.
That would be bad. But yeah, man, I can't remember the last time I played chess. It's been years and years. Yeah. But I digress. That being said, hello, everyone, and welcome back to All Things Star Wars, the greatest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. I'm Mr. Jason Roskam. With me here each and every single week, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, David.
Hello, Jason.
How are you?
I'm good, even though we're remote right now. It's
We are. I am under a mandatory quarantine because, like I said earlier, I went to New Mexico last week and it's fucking bad down there, COVID wise. So automatic quarantine when I get up to the States. I have to take a fucking COVID test on Friday, I think. And then if that's clear, then I'm good to go about my life as usual.
Yeah. And honestly, like we're nervous enough about it where it's just like, the last time a Roskam traveled cross country, I ended up getting really sick. So we're just going to go ahead and let you get that negative test, and then we'll be back in the studio.
Yep, indeed. So what are we talking about today?
Dude, so we start out first, we got to issue an apology, right? For those of you who are tuning in right now on our Gen X POV channel, expecting us to be talking about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and its superiority to A Christmas Story, or if you are wrong, you might think of it the other way. But we're not talking about that this week because fucking Disney dropped a huge load right on our faces.
Yeah.
With an immense amount of Star Wars shit. And then, oh, by the way, 2 fucking incredible Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah. So there was no way we couldn't. Yeah, there was no way we couldn't do an All Things Star Wars this week. So sorry if you're just here for the From a Gen X Point of View podcast, but yeah, we
love that. We please continue to subscribe, and we will definitely be talking about Christmas stuff next week. But
yes,
our Star Wars nerddom is preventing anything but Star Wars this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, do we want to just get right into it?
Yeah.
Like start rolling through some of these announcements? Okay, because it was big. Like you said, Disney and Lucasfilm dropped a huge load on us. And it started with the next movie, right? I know there have been discussions. Initially, there was talk, I think when it was first announced over a year ago, it's like the next Star Wars movie will be December of 21. That ain't fucking happening. Then it got pushed to 22. That ain't fucking happening. Now we got the next word. The next Star Wars movie will be December of 23. And it will be the Rogue Squadron movie created by Patty Jenkins, who is best known as doing the Wonder Woman movies. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, exactly. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard this announcement, I was very lukewarm on the subject because I'm just like, Rogue Squadron. I mean, they made a bunch of books about it. I know a lot of people liked it, but I think it's going to be set in fucking modern times, like sequel trilogy times. And even with that, I'm just like, whatever. But then,
TIE Fighters, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Right. Yeah, if it'd been TIE Squadron, now that's a whole other story. Yeah, but so I watched the sneak peek though, and after watching that sneak peek, and Patty Jenkins kind of talks about her father and how her father was a fighter pilot, and some of that, it was just like 2 minutes, but I was a hell of a lot more interested after watching that little snippet.
Yeah, she's like rollerblading on the Flightline, talking about how how her father was an F4 pilot, and him dying and all sorts of stuff. I mean, kind of the idea of somebody who is so involved in that type of aviation, right? Like the fighter genre, the fighter pilot genre, the Top Gun genre, if you will.
Right.
Like you could really fuck that up bad, and they have in the past, but if you take somebody that has like this vested interest in it and like kind of making a tribute movie to her father, and let's film the sneak peek on the Flightline of somewhere out in the high desert. And
yeah, which you said it looked like it was probably Edwards Air Force Base or something like that.
And have obviously a CGI X-wing.
Of course,
she fucking zips into a flight suit and then goes strolling up to an X-wing. Very, very cool. That was I'm with you, a huge sell for me.
Yeah. As military guys, Air Force guys, that was their hook for us.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah. And look, I'm willing to bet you, because of the popularity of Squadrons. Now, Squadrons isn't like the biggest game ever, especially with like Cyberpunk 2050, whatever, some jerk off movie or game that I'm never going to play. But Squadrons has this like really just really solid fan base.
Yeah. And
people are getting to fly TIE fighters and X-Wings and shit like that. It's like a perfect time. Like, now let's develop some movies around that.
Yeah, and let's be honest too, like the Rogue Squadron books and the original Rogue Squadron games all had pretty big followings too.
Yeah.
So they have a built-in fan base if they can, not fuck it up and actually put together a good movie with a good story, then this could be solid.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm with you. Now that you hear the backstory, and now that this Patty Jenkins tribute to her father as a fighter pilot who died while flying, then huge win for me.
Yeah, died when she was 7 years old doing a NATO training exercise.
It's crazy.
Very tragic. But I mean, again, that's our lives, right? That's the risk you take when you when you sign up and you fly, and like you and I, we were aviators for over a decade. So a good portion of our career.
Decades, and have seen even recently, another F-16 had crashed recently. You think about what we did or do was inherently dangerous. So huge hit to the feels there. Yep. And it gives me something to look forward to in 2023 for sure.
Right. And quite frankly, I mean, the Wonder Woman movies have been, well, at least the first one was very successful. And by all accounts, the second one's going to be pretty damn good too. So at least it's in good hands with a quality filmmaker.
Yeah. Is 1984 out? The Wonder Woman 1984?
It's supposed to be this month. I think it might actually be like Christmas Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're doing like an HBO Max thing, right?
Yep. Yeah, the big hoopla. A lot of people are pissed. Like, I don't give a shit. It's whatever, man.
Yeah, I'll see it when I can see it. I'm not gonna pay for a HBO Max to see it.
Exactly.
Something that would be way better in a movie theater.
Yep. So plowing ahead, we got like really no information. Just another confirmation, I guess, that Taika Waititi is also making a Star Wars movie with his own take. But that was it. They just basically reconfirmed that something that they already announced months ago. Like, we're letting this guy do a movie.
Did you post the tweet or did you show it to me? Or I got it was a screenshot of his tweet. It was like,
oh, I posted that in the group, the Facebook group. Where he's like, as a long-term Star Wars fan, knowing that I'm making a Star Wars movie, I'm very upset or something like that.
He's like, oh, I know I'm gonna fuck it up.
Yeah. It was really good. Hold on. Now that you brought it up, I need to just bring it up and quote it word for word, because I think I'm doing the quote injustice here.
Yeah, and look, he based on his Mandalorian episode, right? It's not without. It's not like it's crazy to think that he can do something like epically for Star Wars, with that particular vision, and if he's.
And he's a very unique filmmaker too. He did Thor Ragnarok, if I'm not mistaken, which took the Thor character into a totally different direction. It was a very humorous movie. It was a good movie, just very different from what they were doing before. So this is what it is. He replied to the tweet from Star Wars, the official Star Wars Twitter, with "What?" ? Exclamation. Ugh, as a longtime fan of Star Wars, I'm so angry about what I'm about to do to ruin it. So he's very in tune with the fandom and just the general negativity that the fandom carries. Yeah. And he,
you're lightly mocked it. You're about to step into a whole new world of people that are going to hate you for whatever you do for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but again, no real new details on this. But if you look at this announcement on the official Star Wars channel, it's part of this big article, and it's like the Taika Waititi movie is being made.
Do we know what fucking caused this just sudden outburst of fucking Star Wars shit? I mean, it wasn't like.
Well, it was the investor call. This was like something that with the stockholders and basically Disney just like spewing everything out at once, because there was just as big of a Marvel announcement with this as well. Like just as big as like Star Wars shit. There was like a whole ton of Marvel stuff and a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, I see. I never got that. I never got that email. I'm a Disney stockholder. I should have been in first in on this. We could have done the pod and been like the first to report it. Although I'm sure that was probably something I signed away a long time ago that says I'm not allowed to do that.
Right. And which, by the way, I watched the live stream on YouTube. After the fact, there was still some stuff that they cut out of that stream that I guess only the investors saw. There
Nice.
was like a short on the Lando thing, and something else. I can't remember what else it was, but yeah, there were a couple of videos that they didn't show the live audience, that they only showed the investors. So
Interesting.
for whatever that's worth.
I need to dig through my email and see if they actually did send me something, and maybe it went to junk mail or something.
Yeah.
That would actually be pretty funny.
So we got a little bit of more information on the ObiWan series. We've known for a while now that they are doing an ObiWan mini series on Disney Plus with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, created by Deborah Chow, who's done a few episodes of Mandalorian. So again, in good hands with somebody who knows the material.
Mm-hmm.
Big thing that came out of this was they confirmed that Hayden Christensen is returning as Darth Vader for this series. Kathleen Kennedy specifically referred to it as the rematch of the century. We'll get to that. And then they also announced the title. The title is officially ObiWan Kenobi. We'll discuss that in more detail. And also, it's a limited series. It's 6 total episodes. It's 1 season, 6 episodes. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not going to be like season 2, 3, 4, whatever. It's just one shot, 6 episodes. No idea how long they're each going to be. If I had to guess, I'd say an hour. But, it's very short, and that's probably a good thing for whatever story that they're going to tell here. It's just being kind of a one-shot thing, because I couldn't see this as like an ongoing series for years. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense with the canon. So, initial thoughts from you on, first of all, Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader. What do you think before I give my fandom opinion?
Well, I have two. I'm not a huge proponent of having a Kenobi series as it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, I've been voicing that pretty loudly for a while, since they started kind of floating this idea out there that this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of the Kenobi story that's been told. I don't know how much more you can tell, and especially since they're going to tell it from the ObiWan Kenobi standpoint, right? So You're imagining this is like on Tatooine.
Yeah, it's 10 years later. It's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
So on Tatooine as an old man, right? So
yeah,
and like Legends material kind of puts me in a mindset of like they told the story already. Now, granted, it's not canon, but they did that in one book.
Right.
Do you do something that you could have in one book and spread it out into six episodes? Maybe.
Yeah, and it's curious too as to what this story is that they're going to tell. Like, what are they going to do with this? Yeah. And how are they going to?
Why is Vader back involved in it? And is this like? There's never been a point where there's trajectories have met.
Like, right, because the intent has always been, at least in most of our mindsets, the last time they see each other before A New Hope is at the volcano, right? Or is at on Mustafar, as fucking Anakin's burning, Obi-Wan walks away. That's the last time they see each other until fucking on the first Death Star.
Yeah, so I don't know, dude. What's really interesting to me, and I saw a funny meme about it, is you have these people in the fan base that are like super excited about Hayden Christensen being back, like kind of in the franchise. Yeah. There's like the meme is like, oh, everyone's so happy in 2020, and then in 2005 is like, this guy sucks. I never want to see him in another Star Wars thing again.
Right.
Which if you're following All Things Star Wars podcast, we've kind of gone through these movies. We talked about the acting or the over directing of George Lucas that would have happened with this character.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for Hayden Christensen to have an opportunity reprising this role to actually maybe put something more into the character that maybe was lacking before. Just for him.
A chance at redemption.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as I'm as I sit here right now, even before watching the teaser video, I'm more excited about a Rogue Squadron joint than I am this Obi-Wan. I'm going to need this Obi-Wan series to fucking blow me away, like the Mandalorian. Like if it doesn't grab me like the Mandalorian did, then I'm going to be disappointed because the stakes are so high.
Right, and it all goes back to what story are they going to tell? Like why do we care at this point when we know where all of these characters are going to end up? Why do we give a shit about this in-between story that you're trying to tell us?
Dude, I don't know. I don't think there's a place for it, but
Yeah.
they're going to do it. Whether we like it or not, they're going to do it. So I just hope that it's not such a fucking flaming pile of shit that it sours what Ewan McGregor from that character. Now, Hayden Christensen, it is what it is. He didn't make Darth Vader.
No,
David
no, not
Prowse
at all.
and James Earl Jones and those guys did.
Yep.
But Ewan McGregor is widely seen as the guy. He is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, even more than Alec Guinness at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Ewan McGregor has a deeper place in the fandom than even the original. So
to me, that's one of those things where if you put it out there, they have a lot further to fall than they do to climb.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. Now, one last thing before we move on from Kenobi is the title. I was a little disappointed by this because at this phase in the game, isn't he Ben Kenobi? Shouldn't this I think this would have been a better title as Ben Kenobi. I don't know. I don't know, because we don't know what story they're telling. It may be pertinent because of that. Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know, but everything just seems weird. Again, they've been doing really well with Mandalorian and everything, so I'm gonna trust them that they're gonna do the right thing with Obi-Wan. We'll see.
I don't trust them. The only thing that if we could get, even if it's like somehow done on like this like ethereal plane, right, where it's like this astral projection of Obi-Wan and Vader, like somehow fighting, like getting Hayden Christensen. One thing that they fucking did really well, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, was they fucking got into the lightsaber battle.
Oh yeah.
Those were spectacular. So if you can bring that energy back for even one of those episodes, that would probably be worth it.
Yeah, I could see that. So moving on from that into some more positive stuff, we got 2 Mandalorian spinoffs coming, both ongoing series on Disney Plus. One is Ahsoka. So fucking Rosario Dawson returning for her own series on Disney Plus based on Ahsoka. I'm assuming this is to continue the Thrawn, the fucking Ezra, that whole storyline, which I just assumed was going to happen in some sort of an animated series. Like I thought this was going to be the continuation of Rebels and some sort of animated thing where they go and fucking find Ezra and blah, blah, blah. Apparently they're doing it live action and it's taking place at the same time. So this whole Ahsoka episode that we saw a few weeks ago was basically just them setting up the spinoff with Rosario as Ahsoka.
So I have to give Big Swede the credit where credit is due, because he was one of those people that when we first saw the Ahsoka episode, was like, they're prepping for the spinoff. There's no way that they don't do this.
All right, I want you to can we just put a pin in that? You giving credit where credit's due. We're going to come back to that later on. So continue with your thought, but go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, it's I'm curious to see where this goes. What this does do, and I don't know, like if they're going to film it in the same style as like The Mandalorian, I mean, maybe they're trying to encapsulate some of even the mechanics of how they film, something like that, because they've proven in Mandalorian where they have this like, that surround set, right? That surround green screen. So really it's very immersive with some real effects and everything else. If they take that same thing and go into Ahsoka, I can see that being successful.
Yeah, and it's produced by Favreau and Filoni, so they're taking the reins on both of these 2 new series, Ahsoka and the Rangers of the New Republic.
But it does relieve the Mandalorian of the burden of having to finish that storyline now too.
Right.
Now we don't have to worry about Mando running into Thrawn or anything else. Now we can kind of focus on Mando and Moff Gideon and that storyline.
Yeah. Now, one thing that they did mention is that these new shows between Ahsoka and the Rangers of the New Republic are going to intertwine here and there. So they will have some crossover along the way. And there was even discussion of them possibly leading to one like big finale, like one huge crossover finale for all of the shows.
I know you don't watch like regular terrestrial television, because neither do I.
I don't even know what that is.
Football. I like I have this vision of they have all these like CSI shows, and it's like, oh, 911 and
Mhm.
Chicago PD, and brr, 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 brr. Like they have these shows, and they have like these mashup episodes where it's kind of the same story. They're just telling it with like one guy's a fireman, and another one's a police officer, and then one's a nurse.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but it's the same fucking show. I hope that we don't see the same homogenized fucking like, all right, here's the same setting. We're
Right.
having 3 different stories being told, you know, one's at 8 PM on a fucking Friday, and the other one's at fucking 7 PM on a Wednesday, you know what I mean?
No, you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's Favreau and Filoni, and we'll get into the most recent episodes of Mando, but man, they've been fucking killing it lately.
Yeah, you talk about trust, they have earned my trust, for
Mhm.
sure.
And so yeah, Ahsoka gets her own show. I'm assuming they're going to continue that storyline that was left off at Rebels. Rangers of the New Republic, not a whole lot of details at this point. I'm assuming this is going to be the Cara Dune spinoff that's been rumored, even though, you listen to all the morons on Twitter and even some of the douchebags who write articles on the fucking clickbaity internet. They all want Gina Carano fired, blah, blah, blah. Fuck those
Oh, fuck
people.
that, fuck
She's
them.
awesome. And yeah, hopefully this is like her show. Um, no real details beyond that,
We'll
unfortunately.
see. I mean, or get a bunch of like-minded, like find clone Gina Carano a bunch of times and like have like just a team of them go like the A team. Just like be each one would have a different slutty outfit though. Just different slutty outfits. Maybe the ones have a little bit more tattoos than the other one. This one's got more cleavage, whatever, and then I'll buy that for $1.
Hell yeah. So yeah, again, the Mandalorian universe is about to get a lot bigger in the next
Right.
couple of years with 3 concurrent shows that are all in the same timeline, which is awesome. So all the faith in the world in Filoni and Favreau. Keep it going, guys. You're
Yeah.
fucking killing. Moving
Indeed.
on. A fucking announcement that I was not expecting whatsoever. And then when you get into some of the details or lack of details, it's a little troubling. The Lando series.
Hmm.
So they announced a new Lando series. There's no real details on it whatsoever, except it's being created by this guy named Justin Simeon, who the only thing that they really said was he's behind the show Dear White People on Netflix.
Which I never heard of before.
I've heard of it, but none of it was positive. No mention of who is playing Lando. You would immediately think Donald Glover, right?
Yeah.
You think of a Lando series, you think, oh, they're going to get Donald Glover to come back as Lando because he fucking killed it as Lando in the Solo movie. No mention of him. No mention of Billy D. Williams. No mention of any actor whatsoever. All they mention is they're making a Lando series created by this guy who made a semi-controversial series on Netflix. At this point, I'm like, if
That's
it's
all Netflix had 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
oh, okay. Yeah, I never
For what
seen
it's
it,
worth.
so I don't know. All I've heard is just the commentary online about it, which take that for what it's worth. Because again, as we said in the Gina Carano thing, you
Yeah.
can't really trust the fucking online mobs. So who knows? Maybe it is a really good show.
But I agree with you. I think Donald Glover, it'd be a travesty if he wasn't involved in it.
Yeah, because if they cast another person to play Lando, like that's a hard pass for me. Like
Yeah.
it's hard enough, trying to embrace a character that you already know and love, like, a Han Solo or Lando Calrissian, and being played by another actor, right?
Yeah.
Han Solo, the guy that played him in the Solo movie, still a little wishy-washy on that. But Donald Glover, he fucking killed it. If they don't get him back, then what's the fucking point?
Maybe
Honestly.
if you're the Disney, you're the Disney, right? And you're like, hey, we really want to get Donald Glover to buy off on this. So let's
Mhm.
publicly announce that this thing exists and let this like groundswell of all the people having to call out his name so that he'll have to commit to it.
Mhm.
I wouldn't put it past him to do something like that.
Yeah. So again, no other details beyond that. We'll stay tuned and keep our ears open and see if any more details leak out.
Right.
On to the next thing. They went some more into the Cassian Andor series. It's just now called Andor, and it's going to premiere in 2022. They're filming it this year. I think they've already started pre-production. we got a little sneak peek snippet, and it was mostly just an interview with Diego Luna. Is that the actor's name? Yeah, Diego Luna. He was. Yes, he was mostly just talking about the experience of Rogue One, and then how it's great that we're going to revisit this character, which is all fine and good. The biggest detail that we got was that it's 1 season, 12 episodes, which makes sense because again, we know where this guy is headed, so you're not going to be able to continue to do a continuing story with this guy. I'm still in the same spot that I was before. It's another one of those like, why this character in this story? I mean, I'm sure I'll watch it when it comes out, but I'm not like super excited about it. I'm not like, ooh, I can't wait for the Andor series,
Here's what's ironic, right? I have been the worst guy. I've definitely been talking down to this series, right? Since they made the initial announcement, because I am not a fan of this character. I'm still not. They tricked me though. And this is how they did it.
Okay.
So they played that little that sizzle reel, right, or whatever they played, and it had Inigo Montoya talking. But they took scenes out of Rogue One, and the way that they captured some of those moments made me think that if they can make this seem fairly seamless into Rogue One. Now, Rogue One's not like my all-time favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh, we know.
But it's still a good movie, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the further I get away from it, the more I like the story. Besides just the ending, because who doesn't have a giant raging erection for the ending of that movie?
Oh, of course.
But if they can make it as seamless as it was, so what's the difference now than before, right? We have The Mandalorian, which is like a movie studio quality fucking episodic show.
Yep.
For Star Wars. So they're proving that they're not afraid to put this money into a show to make it feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
So as long as they're going to commit to that, it almost doesn't matter what the story is, right? Like if it's Inigo Montoya, it's in the chat. Lunar Girl's bringing up K2SO. That was
right.
It was a good character. As
far
as droids go.
Yeah.
But it got me a little. It moved the needle a little bit for me. It was surprisingly for as much as I've been a contrarian about this. So I am more likely. I'm going to watch it. I mean, we're Star Wars fans. We're going to watch it, if for nothing else, so that we can shit on it, right? That's what we do.
Because that's what Star Wars fans do. We shit on a lot of Star Wars content. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'll watch it. And if you go back and listen to our initial reviews of Rogue One, I actually really enjoyed the character of Cassian Andor. I kind of liked his perspective on things. I don't think we need a backstory on him. So whatever.
Maybe to have some Twi'lek sex shows or something. Make it interesting.
Yeah, I was expecting that in Mandalorian, but not so much. Next thing on the agenda, because we've got a lot of stuff still. The Acolyte. Okay. It's supposed to be a dark side character, takes place during the High Republic era, created by Leslie Headland, which it was the deal breaker for me. Apparently she's some far lefty, like super SJW. She's gay. So, the main character in this show is probably going to be like the first LGTYU plus minus apostrophe character in Star Wars as a lead.
Which can't possibly be, because we have all that canon for that represents all of that.
I'm just saying,
first one.
This is going to be the representation show. Whatever, y'all can have it if you want. It's probably going to be a hard pass for me, but who knows?
Yeah, so it's the High Republic, right? The High Republic is such an unknown right now. They have some character drawings out there to give you a basic idea of some of the stories. You would think that they're with all the stuff that's being released, that you'd want this swell to kind of get the High Republic kind of moving. And
they're investing a lot in it. Don't get me wrong.
But I just don't. for me as a fucking huge Star Wars fan, as somebody who's constantly watching The Wire for more stuff, I still don't have any buy-in to the High Republic. I want to. I don't, because I don't want to be the person that misses out. I think we talked about this before when we were talking about Summer of Legends.
Yeah.
I was late to that party, and I don't want to be
Oh,
late
yeah,
to
me
the
too.
party with the High Republic stuff. So, but I want to be looking forward to it. I really want to be like, I want this content, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Mandalorian has spoiled me because of it, but I'm just not there.
Yeah, and really no other new details or no real details on this besides it's going to be a Disney Plus series taking place in the High Republic, focused on allegedly a dark side character. We'll see.
Which that has potential. I mean, if it's going to be a dark side character,
yeah, I'm much more interested than if it was like a Jedi character, a light side
right.
character, right?
I have a feeling I'm gonna throw it out there to be a matter of public record that when this comes out, every one of us is going to go like, if this could have been about Revan and actually been good.
I feel like they're saving that. I feel like Disney, they know that that's a thing. They know this is what the people want to see, and they're saving it because they don't want to, they don't want to, blow their whole Legends load.
So
yet,
semi sidebar. I saw a meme, right, and it had all the Star Wars characters like basically like thumbnailed in this like long ass like timeline. It has like great and good and bad or whatever. And how I knew this thing was complete bullshit was it's one of those sequel trilogy fucking everybody involved in the sequel trilogy obviously is the worst ever, right? Which I don't think is fair.
Right.
And they had Revan in that category of like just not a good Star Wars character. I'm like, who the fuck comes up with something like that? You know, you call yourself a Star Wars fan.
He's a very beloved character for anybody who's followed Legends material.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. Like, you wonder, because a lot of the memes I look at, it's generationally, it's probably closer to Jeff's generation than mine, but and that could have a lot to do with it. So they're not as invested in Revan, but like for us, like you don't have to be as balls deep into the fucking Legends material as we are to understand that Revan's a fucking character. You know who does know that? Hasbro. Fucking, they make fucking.
There's at least 2 Black Series figures.
Yeah, and fucking pops and everything else. So the collector shit's out there. So they know that audience is there for us. I don't know if it's there for them.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Well, we'll see, but we got to keep moving because there's still some more shit to go. We haven't even gotten to our main topic, by the way.
Yeah,
we haven't even gotten to our weeks. We're still doing like Star Wars news. This is like our first main topic. The Bad Batch, we already knew this was coming. We got a new trailer for it. I know Dave hates it. Just based on the faces he's making right now. I'm interested. I like where they're going with this. I like that this is post-Purge. This is post-Revenge of the Sith. What happens to the Bad Batch after the rest of the clones just go fucking full-on Empire? Like, what happens to these dudes?
So here's what I think. And making all my noises and fucking whatever. I did not like the Bad Batch and how it was presented in the Clone Wars season 7.
Right, that final season.
I don't think it needed to be in there. I think there's way too much like this comic relief and going over the top. Saying that, watching kind of the sizzle reel and seeing like some of the pictures that they're bringing into it and the tone of it.
Totally, it's very different.
I'm a little bit more interested because I think they can do it like, we had the first 3 seasons of Clone Wars that were very campy and fucking kids and very annoying with Ahsoka and everything else. The droids, having droid episodes, shit like that. I think if you do the Bad Batch and just focus like, here is these clones, right? And how these clones are interacting and progressing through Order 66. Because if they've done nothing else, they've already proven that they're not part of that mold, right? They're not part of the people that are going to automatically just switch over.
Yeah, and that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming they don't have that programming, that Order 66 programming. So while they're watching the rest of the clones like fuck up the Jedi, they're like, whoa, what's going on here?
So it will be interesting from that standpoint. I did like the tone that they're setting in the sizzle reel. So it is we'll see.
And we got some very polarizing chat going on too, by the way. We've got people like Big Swede basically saying fuck the Bad Batch, and then Big Lovin' saying fuck you. So we've got some people who are really looking forward to it and really are not.
Hey, listen, if this thing can start and not give me all that fucking campy bullshit that they did in Clone Wars, then I'll be fine with it, because it's an interesting story to tell. I just think that you didn't need that episode in fucking Clone Wars to like create the fucking Rambo, and it was too much. It was too much.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's finish up these announcements. We had Visions announced, which is going to be 10 independent anime takes on Star Wars. 10 different anime studios who are going to be, I guess, well known for doing anime shit, whatever that is, are going to do their own take on Star Wars. I've never been big on anime. Don't really care for it. Don't really see the appeal. I don't care if other people like it. I don't care if they're doing a Star Wars version of it. Excitement level is like way low for this though.
So I'm not big into anime. I've dipped my toe into it. I don't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like these super intense storylines where if you keep following along, like they get really good. Like the animation isn't great, but the storylines end up being really good.
Yeah.
Anime's super popular right now. And I think this is appealing to like one of my nieces. Like she's in this like in that like 12 to 16-year-old bracket where they're into, it's more like, it's not mainstream like kid cartoons. Like anime has got a little bit more edge to it. And I think they're appealing to that audience. And I think it's something that they started with that, oh fuck, I can't, what was that cartoon series that they put out? It was like they were racing. Disney. My brain. It's like the Poe Dameron era. Remember there was a fucking
spaceship. Resistance.
Yes, the Resistance thing. There's like, it was closer to that anime style.
Okay,
dude. One of my favorite things to watch when it pops up on my YouTube feed is there was an anime style TIE fighter sequence.
Oh yeah,
I've
seen that.
Fucking fantastic. Like if you can bottle that and give that to me, then I'll get into this for sure.
Yeah. And this is one of those things where I'm not going to completely write it off, but at the same time, I'm certainly not excited about it. It is what it is. We'll see what comes of it.
Yeah, I just think they're smart, I think, for going after like that genre, that anime genre right now has actually got some popularity. And if they're gonna try and grab some of that audience, I think it's a smart move on their part.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Next, we have a Droid Story. If you read the description in this announcement, it sounds like a Pixar movie. It sounds like they're going full on Pixar with this thing. It's basically a story about a droid who's, and we get appearances by R2-D2 and C-3PO. So Anthony Daniels is probably not done as C-3PO as he once claimed. You know they're going to get him back because he'll fucking sell his soul to just keep doing C-3PO for the rest of his life. This is another one of those things where it's like expectations are really low. Don't really care. I'm sure I'll watch it at least in the beginning just to see what it's all about, but it's nothing that I'm excited for.
Right here, what Big Swede said.
Yeah, Big Swede said, "Fuck a Droid Story,"
shit.
And that's fine. Yeah. The last thing that we got was some more projects being worked on by Lucasfilm that are not Star Wars. They're working on a Willow series starring Warwick Davis. They're also going to finally make another Indiana Jones movie. It's filming next year in 21 and it is releasing in 22. What do you think about 80-something-year-old Harrison Ford reprising his role again as Indiana Jones?
I'm not excited. I'm just not. Unless if they can somehow, if they get John Williams, if they get motherfucking John Williams to do the score, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Otherwise, don't give a shit. I'm still like my watching of Indiana Jones stopped at the fucking Last Crusade.
Yeah.
For me, that was like, okay, done. Everything that kind of came after that was like they were force feeding you into buying into somebody else being fucking Indiana Jones, and it's just you can't do it.
No. So that was the Star Wars news of the week.
Oh, fuck Willow too.
Yeah, I was never big on Willow. That was never my thing. But yeah, so should we talk about our weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is going to be a weird flow of our episode because the Star Wars news of the week was an episode in and of itself. But we're still going to talk about our weeks a little bit. Starting with me, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I spent the last week down in New Mexico for a business trip. The only real thing I could say about this that good that came out of it was the area that we were in is known for being in the middle of fucking nowhere, no light pollution or anything, and the stargazing is amazing. And it held up that end of the bargain. I'll tell you, to give you a good idea, the Very Large Array, it was only like 30 miles from where we were, which the Very Large Array, if you don't know, is that series of fucking satellite telescopes. Are they telescopes or are they just like
radio telescopes?
Yeah, radio telescopes. Where if you've ever seen the movie Contact, that's where Jodie Foster was when she got the radio signals from.
You see her, she's like sitting on the hood of the car, like with the headphones on, just kind of like listening, like and they pan back. I've seen that movie way too many times.
Oh yeah, great movie, by the way.
I love it.
It subverted your expectations, but it was still a good movie. And yeah, Bronco Fett, we were about an hour and a half, I think, from Roswell. But yeah, got to do some amazing stargazing one night while I was out there. There was a lot of overcast nights, so I only got one really good night. Dude, it was fucking awesome. It was eerie. I've never, ever been in a place that dark before. Like literally, I'm driving into the middle of fucking nowhere. It's only like 7 at night too. It's not that fucking late. Right. But I'm driving into the middle of nowhere, turn off the vehicle I was in, turn off all the lights, and you can see nothing but the stars. It was so eerie, but man, was it fucking cool. For the first time. Oh, go ahead.
Did you use the binoculars at all?
I did one time, and I'll get into that in just a second. But for the first time in my life, I actually saw the fucking Milky Way. You know how you see it in the fucking pictures where it's like that long strip of, condensed stars and everything, and it's a little colorful. Didn't really see like the purple that you see in the pictures and everything. It was just like milky. It was kind of like very white. It was almost like a cloud, but it was 100% clear night. So it wasn't a cloud. It was the fucking Milky Way. Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing, especially for somebody like me. If you've been listening to the show for over a year now, I've been really getting into things like astronomy and, the galaxy and the universe and all kinds of shit like that. So it was so fucking cool to see. I don't even know where to start. You mentioned your binoculars. So Dave let me borrow his telescope binoculars. On a clear night like this, the longer you're in that darkness, the more your eyes are adjusting, and then the more stars you're able to see. Was able to see a fucking insane amount of stars in the sky. When you look through those binoculars, it's like infinite. No matter where you put those binoculars, anywhere in the sky, all you see are just infinite fucking stars, which was crazy.
Yeah. You would think that they're big, stargazing binoculars, and it gives you this idea where you think you're looking at black space. It's kind of like that Hubble image, right? Where they set the Hubble up for 10 days to take one picture, and it had all these infinite amount of galaxies in there.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with those binoculars. You pan across a dark part of the sky, and you're looking, and you think am I hallucinating? Is there really that much that's there in front of you? And there is, and it's
awesome. Absolutely incredible. And it's one of those things that as the earth becomes more and more populated and built up and cities and civilization, you lose this. You lose this ability to just go out on a really dark night with no light pollution and just see what they would see every single night hundreds of years ago, when there were no fucking, when there was no electricity and there weren't fucking big cities and all the light pollution and shit. It's fucking incredible. I highly recommend if anybody gets a chance to do something like that, do it.
Yeah, and I think I really want to get out with the camera and get up to a dark sky area, like up either by Lunar Girl or out by the middle of PA. There's a couple of they have these certified dark sky areas
Oh yeah.
where and it's all rated based on like light pollution and things like that. But you go out to one of those areas and you can have that effect. And if you can get that effect while you're up in a mountain too, where like the stars are like falling below like your eye line,
Mm-hmm.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But yeah, it's awesome, man. I'm so glad that you had a good night to get out there and see that shit.
Yep. And the rest of my week while I was gone was a combination of like getting shit sleep, not really getting to work out, and just being generally frustrated. So that was the rest of that week. However, so I already talked about the Netflix thing a little bit. One thing that happened the day before I left, Kristen and I were in the Verizon store. We were there for a specific purpose. I had no intention of getting anything for myself, but I just happened to ask the guy while he was answering some questions. So do you guys still do iPads that have like the cell service in them? He's like, oh yeah, we have these brand new iPads right now. And he's like, if you got one today, you'd only have to pay $21 a month, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll think about it. Cause I've been recently thinking about getting a new iPad. Kristen like immediately becomes a Verizon salesperson. She's like, well, you've been talking about getting one for a while now. And this would be a good time. You're about to go on your trip tomorrow. And then like her and the Verizon guy are like double teaming me. They're like both fucking throwing all this shit at me. I'm like, fine. Fuck you. People are pushy. I'll get the goddamn iPad. So I got this brand new, I don't know if you can see it very well, iPad. They got a fancy little case for it, but yeah.
Pro or is it a?
It's whatever the newest one is, and it's got the fucking cell service inside, so I can get internet on it without having to be on a Wi-Fi. Dude, and it's great.
Yeah, those I had basically got the same thing happen to me like in an AT&T store like before last Christmas. And
when you gave me your heart,
yes,
the very next day I threw it away.
Yeah, yes, you did, bastard. This isn't the Christmas episode, Jake.
We're getting close.
I was looking at because I was still kind of in the market for what I was going to do with a laptop, and I got an iPad Pro, which you have the Apple Pencil that comes with it. You can do all this interacting stuff, and so I got like they sell keyboards that basically once you put this keyboard on it, it looks like a fucking it looks like a MacBook.
Right. Yeah.
I love it. I used it, and unfortunately, my daughter needed an iPad for something she was doing one of her classes. So it's out at State College now. So I am envious of your iPad, but that's good. So now you actually have something that'll be updated as opposed to that iPad Mini, which
I still have. I still have that one too. Now I'm trying to figure out how to repurpose this for something. I don't know.
Be your permanent. I was going to say if you had a drone, people are like using that for their drones.
Okay.
iPad Minis, they have like a rig for that.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I'm like all in on Apple. Like I was already all in on Apple. I have been for years. But in addition to all of this, Kristen recently bought some AirPods. I've never owned AirPods before. Yeah. But she, with starting work and everything else, she felt the need to get some AirPods. Didn't quite fit her ears right. They were uncomfortable for her. So she's like, do you want my AirPods? I'm like, sure, I'll try them. Fucking love them. Absolutely love them. I do everything with these fucking AirPods in now. Like I'll drive with them in. I'll fucking go to the gym with them in. Oh, the gym is the best. When I was flying last week, I fucking had them in the entire time. I was listening to music on my phone and just, love the AirPods. Absolutely love them.
I think I'd be in the same situation as Kristen because, like, generally speaking, that stuff, my ear shape doesn't hold it very well. So now I'm constantly like, you have this fear of them wiggling out or something like when you're working out. Like, so I use like they have the silicone form fit that always like kind of goes into my ear and like grabs for Bose ones, but I hardly do anything wireless anymore. Like you're in the gym all the time, so it works out good. I have those Bluetooth bone conducting headphones.
And you know what? I think that's what she has now too.
Yeah, those work really good, except for like it doesn't work when you're mowing the lawn or something like that because like there's all this ambient noise. But yeah, I've never. I know that the old Apple earbud things never fit in my ear right, and people tell me that's basically the same thing as that. So I don't have any desire of it. And aren't you terribly afraid of fucking losing the damn things?
No, man, they stayed really well because again, the old style Apple earbuds, they fucking worked great for me. They stayed in just right. Same with the AirPods, just perfect. They're not going anywhere.
Nice.
So yeah, I absolutely love them. So I am all in on Apple more than before. And I could go into a whole bunch of other details about what I've been doing the last couple of weeks, but because this is such a long episode, I'm going to cut it right there. Moving on to Dave. What you been doing?
Is Ivo G in the chat? Like,
I haven't seen him today. We've got Isaac around though. I've got Isaac. We got the Jensens. We got Luna Girl, Dragon Buddy. We got Big Lovin'.
Nice.
Kristen was in the chat earlier. Ben was in the chat earlier. Big Swede's in the chat. Big Swede. Yeah, Big Swede's very negative today. He's saying fuck everything. Is he okay? Like, did he get over COVID all right?
Who actually gets over COVID?
That's a good question. Like, I don't think anybody's sure yet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Big Swede's just a contrarian for the iPad could be the best thing since sliced bread, but he's all in on this fucking Android bullshit. So whatever. Those people are out there, and that's fine. Whatever. Yeah. They can just understand that they're inferior, and then you're fine.
Yep. Like, how can you have the best thing unless you have something that's the worst thing? So we have people like, yeah, exactly. So all right. So what you been doing this week?
So I'm gonna in the interest of brevity, right? So this weekend, Kathy and I, we actually got out on Saturday, and we're like, you know what? Let's go out to New Hope. Like, she had never been out to New Hope, PA. It's like one of these areas. It's like kind of on the Delaware River, and it's just a super nice area for like some Christmassy stuff and some eateries and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. So we're taking risks by going across the bridge.
Which isn't PA like really locked down right now, like more than Jersey because of COVID?
I'll get to that in a second. Okay. So we get over the bridge, park, New Hope, really cool. Had a big fucking steam locomotive. Like, I can't tell you, of all the stupid hobbies, like we're collectors of hobbies, right? Or at least I am. Yeah. So, and my grandfather got me into toy trains really early on, and like this is train season, right? You get the trains out at Christmas time, and the steam locomotives, like the old Lionel steam locomotives, are some of my favorite. They had in New Hope, they have a Baldwin locomotive, like circa 1850 something. Locomotive that was pulling cars, so like you could go in and buy a ride on the fucking train. It had like it had, you could eat in one of the cars, you could just be along for the ride. Really neat though, fucking just giant steam engine watching the thing take off. Really fucking cool. Totally nerded out on that. But New Hope's, it's a nice little area, and we walked around. It was busy, but it wasn't so busy that like you felt like there was a ton of people, and we ate outside and everything else. But Kathy was like, well, I want to check out this Peddler's Village because it's like, like 5 miles away, still kind of in the New Hope area. I'm like, all right. We go to this Peddler's Village. Now, Peddler's Village is what you would think it is. It's like a bunch of Christmas stores. They got all these fucking holiday lights and shit up, and like really cool for Christmas time type
Which
shit.
Which is great because we need a little Christmas right now.
Right this very minute.
Yes.
So we pull up, and I'm my fucking radar is blaring right away because we're pulling into a parking lot that's kind of like off. Like you can see where the village is, like you kind of see the lights, and there's still daylight, and row after row of cars. Right? I'm talking row after row after row after row after row. So we pull in, right? And we're like, okay, just ebbing and flowing, and there's okay, maybe it's not going to be that bad. Mask on, all the other bullshit. We start walking in, dude. You could not I couldn't put my elbows like this without fucking hitting somebody. It was so fucking crowded. Like we moved to a couple of spots and like took some pictures, posted them online. You can see whatever I posted on my story or whatever. And then we're like, fuck it, we got to get out of here. We got to go because there's just for as many people as was there when we were fucking just getting there. More people, like they were pouring in. It was like this fucking Agent Smith from The Matrix. There's more, and all pouring in. We get in the car, and we were having such a good night. Like it was just a good time, aside from all the crowd. We get in the car. Come to find out, my mother-in-law came home from shopping, and she found 2 empty bags of semi-sweet chocolate morsels on the ground in the kitchen.
Uh-oh.
Right? So I had, those who don't know, I have a dog. She's great. She's laying here sleeping. She's like 65-pound dog, but apparently what happened was there was a bag on the counter that had some chocolate chips in there from something that we were doing a couple days ago, and it was right around dinner time, and she got into this and ate 24 ounces of chocolate chips. 24 ounces.
Because allegedly chocolate is really bad for dogs.
It's very bad for dogs. So mother-in-law calls and we're like, okay, that's a lot of fucking chocolate chips. That's not like getting into like a couple Hershey Kisses or whatever. Like 24 ounces of chocolate chips is like 680 grams. It's lethal. It is a lethal dose of chocolate. So my mother-in-law, we're like, we got to go to the vet, get her in the car. We're going to make some phone calls. We get over to the emergency vet, and apparently she had thrown up some of the chocolate already. Like when she got let out, she went and threw up some of the chocolate. Like my mother-in-law didn't really see it, like how much she had gotten up, but get her in the car, get her to the ER. Meanwhile, now we're an hour away in New Hope, right? So now I'm basically driving my car like I'm in a fucking cop car to get to the emergency vet in Mount Laurel, which was great, by the way. If you're in the Jersey area, the Mount Laurel 24-hour ER, really, really good, really super, super nice, make you comfortable, everything else. Anyway, so we had called up the ER, and they're like, you got to call poison control. Right. The ACA runs a poison control. And so this is why this is important. And this is kind of a public service announcement for everyone who has dogs. And like, this is the kind of time of year when you're baking more and doing more shit. So you may not think about it and you'll leave something out that could potentially kill your fucking dog. But so the ER was like, you got to call poison control, and they're going to give you a case number, and you're going to call them, give them all the information, and then when you get here, give us the case number.
Okay.
What that does is there's toxicologists that are basically on standby through poison control. We're on hold for fucking 35, 40 minutes. Right? Most of the drive we're on hold. And when we finally got to talk to somebody, got the case number, did everything else, and they explained to us that, the vet, they'll do blood work and stuff like that, but the toxicologist is going to take like the breed, the weight, everything else into account, and they're going to tell the vet what dosages of medication to administer to make sure you're going to get the most of the stuff out.
Yeah.
So, and on this fucking drive, right? And obviously this is devastating, right? In the back of your mind, you're like, this is a lethal dose of fucking chocolate. Like she could die.
Yeah.
We would not get there in time. So I'm thinking about all this, and I'm fucking driving like a really, really, really maniac. And we come up on 295, and I'm like, we're driving, and I pass an obvious unmarked fucking cop car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I blow by him, and he's shining a light out into the fucking woods. I look out, and there's a fucking car in the fucking trees over here.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
into the trees. So I'm like starting to slow down because traffic's starting to slow down. See some lights, and as I'm slowing down, coming up on the traffic, there's a giant deer carcass like in the middle of the road.
Oof.
And there was another car on the left-hand side of the road, front end completely destroyed. Like take your minivan and then like basically chop it off like halfway through the motor.
Oof.
This car hit that deer doing 70, 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they were alive to tell it. So it did make me slow down a little bit. Just that's one of those wake up calls. Like, yeah, no, if we were doing 92 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour, like I was doing, and we hit a deer, we wouldn't matter if the dog didn't make it or not. So we get to the ER. It's still COVID restrictions, so we couldn't see her go in or anything else. And thankfully, we were so lucky that they were able to get induced vomiting. We're able to get her to vomit basically the rest of the stuff up, and they put her on the right drugs, put her on IV fluids and everything else. They had to keep her overnight, which is fucking terrifying. When you're a dog owner, right, and you're like, I know Jason knows.
Mm-hmm.
There's the idea that like your animal is not with you for that night, and you hadn't seen it since it'd been sick. They have no idea like state of mind and anything else. And you're like the worst ever. So I slept like shit. Like that was Saturday night going into Sunday because the vet said if she was basically in ICU and like if anything happens, they were going to call us in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. So I stayed up and basically handed the phone off to Kathy, and thankfully she was in good enough shape to for us to pick her up on Sunday, but she's still kind of out of it. But they expect make full recovery, and just honestly by the grace of God that if my mother-in-law hadn't gotten home when she did and start all this timing to get there, she probably would have died. Like that's how close it was. So here's your public service announcement, kids. Clear if you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you leave out because dogs are extremely fucking intelligent, and they will get to what you think you have hidden. Trust me. And they if that does happen, and I know Big Sweet's run into this too because he's had some run-ins with his little guy. Know that like when you have a number for a 24-hour ER, like our vet was closed, so they had numbers for us to call. Have somebody on that dial, and then know that there's a poison control for dogs that is going to be integral to getting that better. The dog that went in before Holly did, also same thing, chocolate ingestion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's
well, and it's like you said, it's that time of year, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's baking, there's chocolates everywhere. So
yeah, it was terrifying all weekend. Like we were grateful yesterday to have her home, but like I haven't really slept well. Like last night she had she kind of had an accident in the bed sleeping with us, so I kind of was dealing with that all night, and so I haven't recovered sleep wise, and it just like it just throws everything off, and it makes you like think the bad thoughts in a worst possible scenario in the holiday. But she's good. She's good now. Take the opportunity for a public service announcement though for everyone out there that it is like you kind of semi joke like chocolate, whatever. Like we could eat the shit out of it, right? And it won't kill us. For a dog, like the chemicals that are in the chocolate and the caffeine, it could throw their heart into an arrhythmia and kill them. The heart rate was the biggest thing. Like she had an EKG and everything else. Anyway, that was the weekend. Right? That's pretty much just getting her home and dealing with all that. That was pretty much dominated everything that was going on.
Yeah. Well, anything else for you before we move on?
I do want to mention, so Caitlin, my daughter Caitlin, a friend of hers from when she was in high school, is on Instagram. He is a cosplay I don't know if he's in the 501st. I haven't done that much research. She just mentioned it in passing yesterday on the phone. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
my daughter has the worst timing with fucking phone calls. She just does. They're either going into a Zoom or out of a Zoom or taking a shit or doing whatever.
Or doing the podcast. She's
Or
called
doing the podcast.
many times when we've been doing the show.
But she did mention like you search for Jersey _5s, 5 spelled out like the clone, and it's fantastic. Like from the Instagram pictures, the kid's doing good work.
Yeah, before we went live, I followed him on your recommendation, and yeah, good shit.
So if you're into the cosplay stuff, especially like Jason was saying, like that's one of his things he really would love to get into.
Yeah, when I retire from the military, that's what I'd love to do is like get a legit outfit and join the 501st.
Yeah. I get that TIE pilot helmet on. Oh my god.
I don't think I'd do a TIE pilot. I'd rather do like either a traditional stormtrooper or one of the clone trooper variants.
Yeah, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Yeah, like go fuck yourself.
Why don't you go after that, you suck up bitch?
Yeah. So anything else before we move on?
No. Should we take a pee break?
We should. In fact, I was just about to.
I don't have a sign deployed here to home station.
Yeah. So we are going to take a very quick break and be right back with the 2 most recent chapters of The Mandalorian, chapters 14 and 15. After this word, hold on, that wasn't loud enough. After this word from our sponsors.
Well, you know what? I don't have to wait for him to pee. I can go pee right now. No, I'll wait. I'll wait for him to get back. So it's not like dead air. Yeah. Okay, let me catch up in the chat. Yeah, fucking terrifying, dude. Terrifying. 24 ounces of chocolate. Just she knows I'm talking about her here too. She's too out of it to fight us. Yeah, doing some Mandalorian stuff. Fuck the snaps. Yeah, exactly. So what is the general consensus right now about the TPS reports are now canon. Yeah, we'll get into that. I'm more curious about some of this announcements and what Disney's long game is. Right? They're giving us a bunch of Disney Plus content that's going to be coming out. So cool, but no potatoes today. And Jason probably was peeing in the corner. I mean, it is a little chilly out.
It is chilly, yes.
All right, now you're back. I'm going to go pee.
All right. Oh, so it's my turn to entertain the rabble?
Yep.
All right, let's see if we can get holy content. Just don't fuck it up. Kevin. Door alarm go off, hopefully. So yeah, funny thing about our house, we have like an alarm system where if any door opens, you'll hear it in the main house. And that's also connected to the studio door here, even though we're detached from the house itself. So she'll normally, when we're recording the show, she'll hear the beep beep, which she knows means I'm about to pee right outside of my bedroom window. So, and she can always hear when I'm peeing too. So I guess the alarm didn't go off this time. I don't know. Pouring another beer. So this is the same beer, same 6-pack that we started 2 weeks ago on our last episode. This is the Flying Fish Winter Crew. It's actually really good. It's it's a holiday brew. Well, here, hints of cinnamon and nutmeg are highlighted in this Belgian style ale that's made for cold weather enjoyment, and I do enjoy it. You back?
I am back.
All right.
It looks like Kevin. I'm assuming Kevin is Jersey 5s.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. And he was actually watching.
Yeah, you are welcome.
Good shit, man.
Yeah. Where do you need to go? You need to lay down? He's staring at me. I don't know.
All right, are we ready to resume?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, give me a countdown, and we'll get started.
Ready and go.
And we're back. So, Mandalorian, holy shit. You would think after the first season, yeah, you may have a sophomore slump, or even earlier in this season when you had such big moments like the Bo-Katan episode or the Ahsoka episode. You think, fuck, there's no way they can top this, right? Here we are. They just keep the ante, and we're going to talk about chapters 14 and 15, which, by the way, I know we kind of shit on this a little bit last season with the chapters and everything, but it's starting to grow on me, and I'm starting to appreciate how it's, chapter 14 and 15 as opposed to season 2 episodes 6 and 7. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm embracing the chapter structure a lot more.
No, I agree. It's something I have to put into my vernacular.
Yeah,
I have to be conscious of it. Like it's not not smooth yet, but I'm going to get there, especially knowing that there's more coming.
Yeah,
and it being so good.
So chapter 14, I'm sure this one's already been talked to death because we're over a week removed from when this debuted. But this is the episode where Mando took Grogu, again, trying to embrace new terminology and everything else, took him to Tython, where he was going to pray to the Jedi gods and hope that a Jedi comes for him.
Right.
So they've done this new thing where I know you and I talked about this a little bit during the Ahsoka episode, where our expectations were you're going to go through this long drawn out episode, and eventually at the end, you're going to see Ahsoka and it's going to be this big thing. Whereas no, they completely subverted that. And it's like the first few seconds is Ahsoka right off the fucking bat, kicking ass with their 2 lightsabers. And it's like, holy fuck. Another similar moment in chapter 14. As soon as they land on Tython and they get onto the big fucking, Stonehenge and everything, you hear like a ship in the fucking distance. And you're thinking, oh, it's fucking Gideon. They fucking tracked him.
Right.
Look over, and it's fucking Slave One. And it's like, holy shit. Like, I was not expecting that whatsoever. I don't know how you felt seeing that.
I wasn't either. I really wasn't. I was anticipating the Moff Gideon arrival.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, vulnerable situation. Like, because they set it up that way, right? They park the Razor Crest over here, and he tells the kid, oh, we're going to have to, fly in, with the jetpacks and so they go flying away from fucking Razor Crest and safety and everything else. Mm-hmm. Put themselves in this horrible position to defend. And Moff Gideon's going to show up. Never thought that Fett was going to show up in between that.
Yeah. Fucking just mind blowing and awesome. And again, maybe they're catering a little bit too much to the hardcore fans, but I don't give a shit. Like,
I don't either. I don't think if you're going to bring Fett back, I don't think that you could. I don't know of a way that you could have done it better. Honestly, I just you had this like I don't know, like there was unfinished business because they showed him in season 1, right?
That first episode of the season, yeah.
So you had this unfinished business with seeing him there and like, okay, when he's going to come back, and then this idea that with this tracking. Right, that it had like, how did Fett track him? Well, it was probably because the Gideon put the tracking device on the Razor Crest. Right. So, like the idea that Fett's going to jump in there and in fucking Slave One, it's just, I agree with Isaac. You just see the little like,
yeah,
your little squeal.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, and then we had a confrontation with Mando and Fett. Fett's like, I want my fucking armor. Mando, not knowing who the fuck he is just like, well, you ain't taking my shit. He's like, no. The armor that you took from fucking Cobb Vanth back on Tatooine. We have this.
Which I guess the only question I had about that particular thing is like, what was preventing Fett from going in there and getting his armor back?
I was thinking the same thing, honestly. He knew Vanth had his armor. He was in the area. So
he'd obviously been watching him.
Yeah.
Now, but so I asked myself that question in 14, and then at the same time, at the end of chapter 14, I thought about this idea that Boba Fett has this code of honor, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe because the way his armor was being used to protect these other people, that's why he wouldn't go and get that armor back. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe that's why he didn't go back and get it. Like this idea of, hey, Fett, like these unanswered questions, right? Fett, how does he survive the Sarlacc pit? I mean, obviously, I think they do a good job putting the makeup on him and making him look like he's been dipped in acid.
So, all right, I have to say this because you brought it up. There's a meme out there that somebody asked, like, what, did he eat his way out of the Sarlacc pit? Because if you look at him at the end of the episode, he's...
Those same memes are talking about Fat Batman, the Ben Affleck Batman. Now we got Fat Boba Fett, and that's fine. Yeah. We can do Dad bod Boba Fett.
That's the thing, as we age. I'm sorry, it's just difficult to keep the weight off. Fuck it. What can you do?
Eat his way out of Sarlacc pit.
Right. So I mean, you get this back and forth with him and Fett, where at first they're like holding Baby Yoda hostage, essentially. Where Homegirl from fucking last season, the sniper,
right?
I can't remember her fucking name.
I can't.
But she
helps out in the chat.
Who we thought was dead at the end of that episode, that first episode where he went to Tatooine last season. Apparently, she's not dead. She's like Boba Fett reincarnated her with some fucking
replaced her guts with some fucking space age tubes and shit.
Which it's fine, I guess. We can do that in Star Wars. We've seen it with limbs. Why not see it with organs too?
You look at Maul, he had half his goddamn body.
Fennec, thank you, Isaac. Isaac, always reliable for looking shit up for us or just having it right there on the ready.
Is our Jamie.
He is. So, Fennec, the girl from last season, she was there too. She had a fucking gun pointed at Baby Yoda. Then, as we expected at the beginning of the episode, Gideon's crew fucking shows up, and it's basically just a bunch of stormtroopers and landers. Mm-hmm. And they kind of cut a deal where Fett's like, hey, we'll help you get out of this. Give you my armor back. We'll ensure that the child is, safe or whatever. I can't remember what the back and forth was. I only saw the episode the one time.
Excuse me.
But the crux of this, like the majority of this episode is then them fighting off all of these fucking stormtroopers. Fucking Mando, Fennec, and Boba Fett fighting off all of these stormtroopers while Baby Yoda is in his fucking Jedi trance, reaching out with the Force.
And I think one of the best parts of this, like during this fight sequence, I think it was a great fight sequence. I think the entirety of picking off the stormtroopers, having that stupid fucking lead stormtrooper direct them into like basically go sacrifice yourself to the fucking operation. What is it? I can't think of it from the South Park reference. It's Chef.
Oh, Operation Human Shield.
That's right, Operation Human Shield. So basically, that's what the stormtroopers are doing, and Boba Fett just like taking his staff of Ra and just fucking up stormtroopers left and right. Like, why are you bothering to wear this fucking armor that's going to just explode when I hit you in the face?
Right. Well, as we see later on, when he does get his armor back on, he's kicking even more ass.
Yeah.
So, throughout the course of this, Mando never really committed to giving Boba back the armor because he's like, no, this is Mandalorian armor. This stays with fucking Mandalorians. Boba Fett hadn't convinced him at that point that he, had some Mandalorian lineage. But then we get the fucking scene where they're fighting him off. Boba looks over in the distance at the Razor Crest and he sees the fucking armor in there. And it's like, ooh. And then it cuts away to Fennec and Mando.
You knew that was going to happen, though.
Oh, yeah. Like, that was like
the ramp to the fucking thing was open. Like, who does that? You have all
Well, hold on. Like, the whole series, Mando's been doing this shit. Remember the Ahsoka episode when he landed on that fucking planet? He just left the Razor Crest in the middle of fucking nowhere with the ramp still fucking down. He doesn't give a shit. And last season, he'd leave fucking Grogu in the fucking ship and he'd just go saunter off and go do whatever. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
You know, but he's doing Mandalorian things, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Well, so and there was a sequence in there too when they're having their standoff between I can't say Din Djarin yet. I can't work on it. It's like Mando and Boba. That's just the way it's going to be.
He's Mando.
Yeah. So he takes off the fucking rocket pack. Like, why was that the compromise to like, I'm going to take this off and this is going to be cool? Because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm fucking screaming at the goddamn television going, like, get your fucking rocket pack. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right. Well, yeah, because after he took it off as part of this whole negotiation with Boba and whatnot. But then when the fucking Imperials land, grab your fucking backpack again.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
Thankfully, spoiler alert, in chapter 15, they do a very deliberate shot of Mando's back to show you that the fucking pack is on there. Like, to me, it was like super obvious. Like, okay, let's frame it up. Okay, all right, cut. Make sure everyone was panicking about it. Excuse me.
Real quick before we get too far, Bronco Fett mentioned in the chat earlier, but Boba had the line, which was his dad's line from Attack of the Clones. I'm a simple man just making my way in the universe, which was a great callback.
Yeah, fantastic callback.
Yeah. Then we get the moment, right? Fucking Mando and Fennec, they got their backs to the wall. The fucking troopers are closing in, and then boom, fucking Fett lands in the armor and just starts wrecking shit. Oh my god, this scene where he's in the fucking armor and he's just destroying all of these fucking troopers was, as Dave would say, erection inducing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. You just sat there in stunned silence watching this and how fucking awesome it was. And they still were able to sneak just this like little small comic element, like as they were trying to take off in the fucking transports, and he's like wheels the thing down. And it's like, okay, I'm eyeballing this up. I'm going to lean forward, shoot the rocket, and boom, it takes both of them out. And Mando is like, yeah, good shot. And he's like, yeah, I was only aiming for one of them.
Right. So that whole scene was badass. And then we get this moment, which was actually really cool, where, Mando's still like, hey, that's still fucking Mandalorian armor. What the fuck? Boba's like, check it out. He pulls up some little hologram thing that shows like his lineage. He's like, look, my dad was Mandalorian. He was a foundling, apparently. So Jango Fett was apparently a foundling, part of the fucking, the cult. What were they called? The children of something or other?
Oh, I don't know.
That was in the Bo-Katan episode. Jamie, look that up. But so he was probably part of that same sect of Mandalorians that our Mando is now part of. And he looked at it. He's like, nah, this looks legit. The armor's yours. So he had no qualms about handing over the armor at that point.
And I think we could go probably real heavy into just the
Children of the Watch. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Jamie. We could go into heavy detail about the actual, because the people immediately were translating, the Mandalorian, and translating how the code actually read and shit like that. Yeah. Which is all fascinating stuff. And really, I think it's for me anyway, and I think there's other people out there to think the same way. This is you start pulling some things out of Legends, right? Start pulling some stories out of Legends about certain aspects of Mandalorian lore, and you start kind of sneaking them in like this. I think we're witnessing in chapter 14, and it's only going to get better, is this idea that Filoni and Favreau are not afraid to take an element of a story that they think was good and fucking let's bring it into our story.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that with something like we have in the chat right now, we have a Fett, right? We have Bronco Fett, who's been with us from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And there are the Boba Fett phenomenon that has existed.
Do, 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 do.
This has existed since Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
This cult following, and to be able to bring this
Well,
character,
the holiday special to be technical, but
is that really still not canon?
It is in my book.
Fucker. Anyway, so but yeah, this idea that you're bringing Boba Fett back into it, and like, okay, and then here's these answers to these questions, like is Boba Fett actually Mandalorian? Like,
right, because that was a big debate for the longest time.
Yeah, Django was like, okay, he had the armor, but was he truly Mandalorian? And now we've made that connection, right, through the history of this armor, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I'm so much more drawn to this the Mandalorian lore now more so than ever. Like, not just the story with Grogu. I'm thinking more just bringing this Mandalorian like lore to life, so that now it's part of the bigger process of this story.
Oh yeah, and it feels to me like this is going somewhere between Bo-Katan and her sect of survivors, and how she feels like she's the heir to Mandalore, the leadership of Mandalore.
She wants her Darksaber back.
Right. We've got the Children of the Watch and their belief as to what the Mandalorians are. You've got Boba Fett as an additional, added element to this. So it feels like these stories are all going to eventually converge. That's kind of where my mind is going with this. Maybe reestablishing, Mandalore itself and establishing a new ruler. And I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, I trust Filoni and Favreau. They haven't steered us wrong yet.
And like, we're just talking about chapter 14 right now. We get into a little bit some detail work in chapter 15 as we get ready for the season finale, which is coming up, and God only knows how they're going to close this out.
Yeah.
But
right. And by the way, to finish up episode 14 or chapter 14, sorry, the Razor Crest gets completely fucking destroyed by Gideon, like just completely fucked. It's nothing but a crater in the ground at this point. And Baby Yoda gets fucking captured.
Yeah.
Those Death Trooper looking black droid things, whatever you want to call them, they fucking swoop down as Baby Yoda was finishing up his meditation. He fucking passes out from using the Force, as he does. They grabbed him and fucking took him away.
And so the whole death of the Razor Crest, I think, has, in the moment, like, I think if we'd done this episode like immediately following, I think that'd be a huge talking point.
Oh yeah. And again, the memes out there are great too.
The pile of Legos, like the Razor Crest Legos set, it's just a pile of gray Legos.
Yeah. Or just like everybody, like, look at the prequels and like some character die and everybody's like, oh no. And then you see the Razor Crest getting destroyed and they're like, no.
Yeah. And Grogu's gone, and they'll probably get him back. And like, he's one of the main characters, right? What could have possibly happened? But then the Razor Crest, we've been emotionally invested in this thing. That's been
exactly. It went through so much this season.
Yep.
There was that one episode where it was like basically held together by fucking string, limping across the fucking galaxy.
Yeah.
And eventually gets repaired. It's like back into form, and then just fucking gone.
Yeah, rest in peace, Razor Crest. I think they're going to come up with another one though, like because I don't think I think my initial reaction was that maybe Mando inherits Slave One, but I don't see that.
Yeah, a lot of people online are talking about that too.
Yeah, but I don't feel that way now after chapter 15. I don't feel that way because I feel like that Boba's got his own score to settle at some point.
Right. I guess it depends. Like if they decide they want to kill Boba Fett off during the course of this, then that's how he would get Slave One. But hopefully not, because
that'd be a hell of a thing to do, because he's made it through. He fucking survived the goddamn Sarlacc pit.
Exactly.
What the fuck? He just finally got his armor back. He's got a new coat of paint on it, as we come to see here in the next chapter.
Which, by the way, another thing that came out of this episode was everybody being like, fucking Boba Fett finally got his redemption, and he's finally, the badass character that everybody envisioned him to be for 40 years.
One of my favorite things that came out after the chapter was that robot chicken where like Boba Fett's just kicking ass and everything. They overlaid the robot chicken Boba Fett voiceover with Boba kicking ass in the actual Mandalorian. Fucking
nice.
Classic. I just love it.
Good shit.
They're talking about in the chat where Gideon now is in possession of the child, right?
Yes. Grogu.
Of Grogu. And you see Grogu just absolutely like you see this element of Grogu as just like this dark side element, for lack of a better term, right? Because he's taking these stormtroopers and he's not killing them, but he's tossing them around pretty fucking good.
Yeah. And he's choked a lot of people out too. Like he choked out Cara Dune in that one episode. So yeah, this is another conversation that's been going on online are the dark side tendencies of Grogu. And a lot of people are comparing him to Darth Vader, even going back to that Ahsoka episode where she mentions like his attachment to Mando and how she's seen that happen before, like with attachment and everything. So it's an interesting dynamic. Obviously, I don't think Grogu's ever going to go full dark side.
Who knows, right? Who knows? It's one of those. I don't think it's going to happen either. But this idea that he's not necessarily a Jedi, like he's just a Force user, and he's using the Force the way he knows to protect the people that he cares about.
Yeah, which right now is just Mando. Like that's his whole life.
And then you get Gideon, the fucking tiny cuffs. Like why do you have these things? Why do you have these, like,
who manufactured these
tiny cuffs? Like, cuff them. Like,
like somebody on an assembly line put these together,
right? For a very specific purpose. Like they're too small for Jawas, unless you're like Jawa baby cuffs, maybe. But these tiny cuffs. And there's a great meme out there where it's the stormtrooper standing there, like Gideon gives him the order to put the tiny handcuffs on him, and he's looking at the stormtroopers looking at these tiny handcuffs, going like, "Why do we have these? Are we the bad guys?" It's fucking great.
Yep. So, last thing for chapter 14 before we move on. Ultimately, Boba Fett, because he promised Mando that he would see the child return safely, he's like, well, now we have a debt, right? So wherever you go to get, to rescue the child, I go too. I'm going to make sure that you get him back safely. So now it's the double Mando show between Boba Fett and Din Djarin. And then he goes and grabs Cara Dune, our girl, Gina Carano, at the end. He's like, hey, need to bust this guy. Yeah, Marshall Dune. Need to bust this dude out of Republic prison. And to go back to where I told you to put a pin in giving people credit where credit's due. If you go back and listen to our review last season of the Mandalorian episode that Bill Burr appeared in, at the end, this guy specifically said, oh, they're definitely bringing him back. They definitely set this up so that the Bill Burr character comes back. And I'm pretty sure you, Dave, said something to the effect of, no, that's fucking bullshit. They wouldn't do that. You're a fucking idiot. Fuck you. You're wrong. Never happened. I'm just waiting for the credit where credit is due now being thrown in my direction.
I need the video evidence because I don't remember that happening. So I would need to go back and look at the tape. And then once I see the tape, then I will give you the appropriate credit.
All right, fair enough. But I specifically remember it going down like that.
$1 on it.
No, I don't think
that bought into it because I didn't put $1 on it.
No.
There's no board bet.
Fuck, I should have done it because I knew they were setting that up for a Bill Burr return.
I like that they did. Like, it's because chapter 14, when you see his face, right? She's going through the roster, right? Now Marshall Dune has access to like all the rebel shit. Like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
We're not gonna talk about that. You get this shot of Bill Burr, and for me, I'm like, what the fuck are they gonna use Bill Burr for this? Like you can't get a sharpshooter from somewhere else. You need to get this guy. And that remedies itself fairly quickly in chapter 15.
Right.
I know coming out of chapter 14, I was like, is there a reason for this? Like, are we just going to have this kind of one-off, like, oh, here's bring Bill Burr back? Because it's not like Bill Burr's a fucking Star Wars fan. Like,
no, which apparently he's got an act in his stand-up where, like, years ago, where he was actually trashing Star Wars pretty hard.
Yeah. So the idea that he's in Star Wars now. Like, it's not a one-off. Like, he's now part of fucking Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fucking. I was a little worried.
So moving into chapter 15, we find out that one of the reasons why Mando wants him is because he was former Imperial.
Right.
And he would have access to information that would eventually get them to Gideon's ship, because that's the ultimate goal at this point. Is we need to find Gideon because we know Gideon has Grogu, and that's what we need. And this is like where his mind initially went. He's like, fuck, Bill Burr used to be Empire, probably knows how to get into their fucking systems.
And he owes me one for me leaving him alive.
Right, as opposed to fucking killing him.
Right. Which
in that episode,
you thought he did. In that awesome scene where fucking Mando's like in the strobe.
Yeah,
like,
that was so good.
Those fucking great shots.
They
showed again. Like they did like fucking flashback for.
Yeah, in the previously on Mandalorian, yeah.
So it was like, yeah, it was a little bit of a stretch, I think, because you know what it is? Here's my problem with that whole line of thinking. Like with codes and shit like that, like we lived in that world, right? And the idea that this like person for a decade they'd be carrying codes that would still work, right? Is just
I thought that exact same
outlandish.
thing too. It's like I'm pretty sure once like anybody leaves, they probably change the codes.
Yeah,
and
well, I mean, not even that. Just like, oh, you just lost the fucking war. Are you going to use the same codes that you used the whole time? They're probably compromised. Like, I don't know.
This is one of those areas where, as prior military people, we just have to take a step back and just be like, this is Hollywood. They're gonna do their thing so that the fucking the masses can kind of buy in on it.
That's very specific to our situation, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. For people who have dealt with, classified material and everything else.
Yeah, modes and codes and shit like that and beeps and squeaks. I can tell you right now, in 15 fucking years, we're like, oh, here, you need to put your fucking SIPRNet password in here from fucking 15 years ago. That shit ain't gonna work.
No. That shit goes dormant after 30 days. So, but whatever. We start off where Bill Burr is in like fucking like his labor camp, right? His prison labor camp, basically disassembling old TIE fighters. Did you notice that it was like fucking TIE fighter pieces everywhere? That must have been really hard for you, honestly.
Well, it got me hard.
And the droid, like I honestly thought it was going to be one of those Imperial, the K2SO droids as it was walking, because that shot, it's just of its like legs, right, as it's approaching Bill Burr, and as the camera's panning up, it still looks like those Imperial security droids. The K2SO is based off of. It ended up being something different, but it was still pretty humorous, though. The interactions of that droid and fucking Bill Burr. Where he gave him a countdown. He's like, you have 5 seconds to comply at this point.
Like, some RoboCop shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, fine.
He's like, all right. So yeah, Cara Dune comes in, grabs him, pulls him out to the ship. And again, like right out of the fucking gate, they just throw some shit at us we were not expecting. Bill Burr's walking up to the Slave One. There's Boba Fett in newly fucking repainted, shiny ass fucking Boba Fett armor. It's like, oh,
got himself some primer, shined it up real nice.
Yeah, looked fucking awesome. Again, just not expecting that whatsoever. Such a cool fucking shot. And Bill Burr's like, oh, I thought you were somebody else. And then Mando comes out, and you get the great shot of Mando and Boba Fett like side by side. It's
like, hey, long time. Oh, like Bill Burr's like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, it's another episode of Mandalorian where it's like, okay, we have to go to this place to get this information for the next place that we want to go to.
Yeah, you can't just tap into fucking like, oh, let's go on the internet over here and use your codes. Like, oh no, he's got to be at a fucking terminal. You got to be at an ATM terminal in the fucking cantina on this fucking mining colony.
Right. And we get this whole sequence where him and Mando are driving like some fucking mining tank. They had to get changed into Imperial outfits. We could
Well,
dwell on all.
so that's actually a pretty remarkable sequence, right? Because going into it, like they have this back and forth where like you can't bring Cara Dune in there, you can't bring Boba Fett or any of these other people because this idea that there's like retinal scanning or shit like that where they'll
Right.
match you, like so some fucking Total Recall shit, right?
Yeah.
So the Mandalorian's like, okay, they're in their fucking basically bus driver outfits.
Mhm.
I'm gonna change out of my fucking armor, put that helmet on, and fucking go into this thing. I felt like this was going to be this kind of watershed moment where the whole helmet thing goes by the wayside. What's going to happen at that moment when he first took off the fucking armor?
Yeah.
Instead, he comes out around, and did you notice the Cara Dune a little bit? She's just like, was kind of looking around, kind of trying to see, Mando getting naked. Right? I feel like there's something brewing there that they're going to drop on us.
Don't even get me on Cara Dune, because I tell you what, every time like she's in an action sequence or she's like flexing her arms, like whenever she fucking flexes and I see her fucking guns, I don't know what it is, man. Like it does something. It does something deep down.
Stick your head in there and just have her just squeeze your dome.
And I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with that. She could squeeze my dome all she wants.
So,
but I digress.
Dome squeezing notwithstanding. So you get him, he gets in this outfit, and then the fucking locals, they did this they did a sequence where they're driving through this town, and you see the locals looking at him, and I got this feeling like Mando's looking at him like, oh, these are kids like I was, right?
Yeah.
They're showing like these potential foundlings, right? And then for me, what that did was like these guys the locals are gonna turn on them, right? And then sure shit, you get the sequence where they're fucking coming up on the Jabba the Hutt sleds,
Yeah.
and they're flying up, and you get this whole sequence with the Mandalorian without his fucking armor, getting out and just beating the fuck out of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's still got the fighting skills, regardless of what armor he's wearing, be it Stormtrooper armor or the actual Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, he was taking shots, like, and you could tell they were hurting him, like, or otherwise it wouldn't have. But the dude got out there and was kicking ass, and it was, I think, it was basically kind of a lead-in sequence to other stuff. I think that the fighting sequence was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
And the whole thing was, it was this strange dichotomy, right? Because at the 30,000 foot view, you're supposed to be really rooting for these people, these pirates and these locals that are like attacking the Imperials and like, no, get the fuck out. But because it's the fact that it's Mando and Bill Burr disguised as Imperials just trying to fucking infiltrate this base, it's like, no, fucking, we want our guys to win. And then you get that scene, which I'm sure you fucking loved, where they called in the air support, like when they were about to get like fucking just wrecked by like 10 of these fucking, skiffs or whatever.
Right.
The fucking ties come in and save the fucking day. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. And it's weird because
you flip the script on that.
Yeah.
Now they're representing the Empire. And look, let's face it. I think we are, as much as anybody, we're self-proclaimed Empire. Like we root for the Empire anyway, so that wasn't really a stretch.
No, but for the the average casual viewer, that was probably a weird place to put them mentally.
It humanized the Empire, especially like as they were pulling in, like it was the only truck to make it that day, right?
Yep.
Because of this extraordinary effort by the Mandalorian, and you get all these people in the hangar and everything else. Like this is not what you're used to seeing with this like emotional energy that's coming out of people represented by the Empire. So it humanizes them a little bit, which I think you got to credit the writing and for this, because
it was very clever.
It went from writing. That to get the Mandalorian to the ATM terminal, and then the sequence after that.
Oh, that's a whole other discussion. So moving on to that. So they have to get to this terminal, and it's got to do like a facial recognition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Burr's like, fuck, that Imperial guy that's in there, that officer that's sitting at that fucking table right next to the fucking ATM, like I served under him, he'd recognize me, and like I don't want to do it. And Mando has made it clear at this point that more than anything else, more than his commitment to the Children of the Watch or anything, is his dedication to Baby Yoda, Grogu, right? That is more important than anything, than keeping his helmet on, anything like that. So he's like, no, fuck it. I'll do it. I'll go up. I'll do the facial scan and all that.
Well,
and
he tried to do it with the fucking helmet on initially. Like,
right.
What were you thinking, dude? Now you're just drawing more attention to yourself.
Yeah. But we get this scene where he takes off the fucking helmet. And again, we see his face. Unlike last season, when it was very quick, it was just for like a minute. We get a sequence for like the next 5-7 minutes where he doesn't have his fucking helmet on, which was weird to see. Even though I know the actor, I've seen him in Game of Thrones and everything else, I know what he looks like. It's not a mystery, but because they've been so careful at, keeping him masked and protecting that image, that this long sequence where they're sitting with that officer and everything, and he's got his helmet off and Bill Burr sitting next to him, it was internally tense.
Yeah.
And it was like, fuck, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Where it's nothing but a guy just sitting there without a helmet on. But they've built it up so much that it means something that he's sitting there so long without a helmet on.
We can't get too far away from this, like as part of the sequence when we're talking about Bill Burr's, like, kind of speaking for the Mandalorian, because he's not a method actor, right? He couldn't come up with a name, a pay number, or anything else. So, Bill Burr has to step in. It's like, oh yeah, hey, I'm Lieutenant fucking tough guy, and this is Brown Eyes, right? Like, hey, come on, we got to go fill out those TPS reports, right?
Oh yeah, TPS reports, which was fucking hilarious.
Ken and I, as the Fett brothers, had posted many a time once the embargo was lifted, and even a little bit before then, about TPS reports being canon.
Yeah,
they are indeed now canon, which is
fucking great. Hilarious. Love that. Great reference. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you're doing it wrong.
Shame on you.
Yes, shame on you. So we have this sequence now where they're sitting with the officer that Bill Burr was pointing out, the guy that he served under. We're having some back and forth, and they mention Operation Cinder.
Right.
Which, again, if you go back, one of the first fucking episodes of the podcast that we did, we talked about that Shattered Empire comic. Right. And then subsequently, we talked about things like the Battlefront 2 and all of this contingency plan of Palpatine, which was a good part of that was Operation Cinder, which was how basically Palpatine was now going to lash out at some of his greatest enemies and at the Empire itself for failing and basically destroying it from within before they go and create the First Order and all that. Right. That was all Operation Cinder. This has been part of canon since 2015. Now, your casual viewer is going to hear that. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. But as soon as they said that, I'm like, oh!
Yeah. Yeah, another instance where they can bring something that us Star Wars nerds are going to fucking lose our shit over. Yeah. That the casual person just they don't need to know.
Right. And it's not that imperative where you need to know the intricate details. Right. But if you do know those details, it's just like, it's great. And it adds more flavor to that already good scene where Bill Burr, like, I didn't know he was as good of an actor as he is. Like the emotions that were going over his face as they were talking about that and the people that were lost.
And the way that they're like you feel like that anxiety for Mandalorian, right? Mando's sitting there just like,
oh yeah, he's like petrified. He's
stop talking, we can get out of this. But Bill Burr is like, they led into the sequence perfectly when he was in the vehicle talking about how, you have to, we do need to review Off Space, talking about needing to be able to fucking sleep at night, for some of the things that you have to do. And that they have this conversation and you think it's just small talk, and then when it comes full circle and he's sitting there, and that's the watershed moment for Bill Burr's character.
Yeah.
Like, I have an opportunity right now to to relieve myself of something that has been my burden for so long, right? And it's sitting here right in front of me with this smug jackass's fucking face.
Yep.
And that scene escalated to the point where I never, if you given me $50, I would have never have bet on Bill Burr fucking shooting that dude in the chest and then trying to shoot their way out of that fucking place.
Yeah.
Never. Because the situation was so, you're in an Imperial fucking base, like you're surrounded.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you gonna do? You're certainly not gonna smoke the dude in the chest. And then the guy in the Scarab fucking trooper uniform, after Bill Burr smokes him in the chest, the Scarab trooper standing there with this tray. They're in the DFAC.
Yeah, they're the cafeteria basically.
Drink, and it's just like, the fuck just happened?
Yeah, but that was great. That was just more good attention to detail and kind of going into that military structure and that military life. And such a great sequence. Then you get this whole series where they're basically shooting themselves out of this fucking base. You've got fucking Cara Dune and Fennec, sniping like all of the fucking troopers, all in their path.
Yeah.
Great sequence. But then we get the pièce de résistance, right? Where the fucking TIE fighters come in, right? They're trying to get out of there. Oh shit, we got TIEs coming in. Fucking Boba hops in Slave 1. And we get the fucking seismic charge moment. The, again, erection-inducing memes fucking out the ass seismic charge where he destroys the two fucking TIE fighters with a boom.
What can you say?
Yeah.
What can you say? It was fucking great. As soon as you saw the little door open, you're like, oh shit, it's happening, it's happening. Oh! You couldn't fucking help yourself.
Yeah.
So much of this chapter, I just sat there and processed.
Yeah.
Like I could barely react to all the how well everything kind of meshed with each other. All the sequences when they get to the planet and then get into the vehicle and it's everything just built so perfectly on itself that at the end, finishing it off with the fucking seismic charge and then fucking letting Bill Burr go about his way.
Yeah.
Like, where are you gonna go, dude?
Yeah, I know. Like, you could have taken him to another planet or something. Yeah. You had to just leave him right there.
There's no fucking starship. Like, you drove through the town. There's a bunch of fucking people in huts and shit. They don't have any technology. But I guess when you're given your fucking ticket home and you're like, hey, you're free to go.
Yeah, you just don't ask questions. You're just like, peace.
Yeah, it's the redemption of the character was completely unnecessary. Didn't need it, but if you're gonna do it amazingly well, and then it just fucking great.
And with that, next week is the season finale. We talked about this before we went live. The season's already fucking over. This has been such a roller coaster season. We talked about so many big moments, and we're already at the fucking end. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's speculate. Okay. Because that's what we do. We're Star Wars fans. We're going to fucking speculate. We
do.
Go to clickbaity websites.
Yeah.
What do you think? What is we can't not talk about the transmission to Gideon. Right, they got the codes.
Yep.
Right, they got the codes out of ATM. Fucking Mandalorian transmits basically the message that Gideon sent to him, right back into his fucking face.
Yep, almost verbatim.
You talk about that was the topping. That was the absolute topping to it. Like the way the projection was, the way Gideon was standing there and absorbing it. Like they showed Mando, they showed the mud horn on him. Like there was no mistaking. Like this, I'm coming to come fuck you up. And Gideon genuinely had a moment.
Yeah.
He had a moment like, fuck, I got to be worried about this guy.
Yeah.
Right? And questioning why the fuck you let him live when you had him pinned down in the bar in fucking one of the first episodes.
Yep. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like we're going to get several characters that we've seen throughout the course of this. I think Bo-Katan's got to come back. I think she's going to be involved in them infiltrating Gideon's ship and getting Baby Yoda back. And I think this is just going to be another episode like chapter 15, where it's just like so much action, so many beats, and it's all going to happen so fucking fast.
You know what? I agree with you. I think if you bring back Bo-Katan with like, okay, to have, she wants the fucking Darksaber.
Oh yeah.
Right? Mando can go to her and say like, I'm going to get your boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to come with me? Here's your chance to get the Darksaber because I'm getting the fucking kid back.
Yeah.
So that's 100% agree with that. I think you see the scattered Mandalorians and part of Bo-Katan's group come in. You got Mando, you got Fett, you got Cara Dune, and whoever else they're going to pick up along the way. You're going to have this fight with the Mandalorians against these fucking the Dark Troopers, the ones that came down to fucking scoop up, these droids that came to scoop up Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's going to be these epic fights with those things, and I feel like at the end of this, though, somebody's got to go. Right?
Yeah.
I get. There's this like impending doom in me that says that there's one of these characters is going to have a tragic end.
Yeah, it's like we kind of hinted at before. It could be Boba Fett, and Mando taking the ship. It could be hopefully not Cara Dune.
I think Fennec is a throwaway one. I think she's going to go anyway.
She's probably the most expendable,
right? But yeah, maybe you pick up fucking Apollo Creed, and maybe bring him up there for the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see him doing that. I mean, like, I'm kind of a liability. I'm kind of old. Got this place to run. You already took my fucking Marshall.
Right. The only other thing that I'm going to speculate on, but I feel pretty confident in this guess, is one of the last scenes we're going to see is whatever Jedi responds to Grogu's fucking meditation call out is going to show up at the end of the next episode, be it fucking Luke or Ezra or fucking idiot from the video game.
Cal Kestis.
Whoever responds to the call is going to show up at the end of this next episode. I'm sure of it.
And a lot of people are jumping on with the chat that are talking about Ezra.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be Ezra, and I only say that because it's all you're bridging. Like, if you bring Boba Fett back, right, on Tatooine, that's where Boba Fett was allegedly died, was on Tatooine. Yeah. He hadn't left the planet. He's got that makes sense. Okay, if you're going to bring Boba Fett back into this world, you're going to bring him back on a place where he was lost, so that we can go and make the connection.
Yep.
I think with Ezra, now to the casual, they're not going to fucking even think about it. Okay, it's just Jedi. But for us, we're going to like, how did you get from where we know you went, or we know when you disappeared?
When you took a ride on the space whales.
Right.
Yeah.
How do we get to there without ruining that part of the story? Like, and that's Filoni's story.
Right. And I honestly don't think it's going to be Ezra. Like, legitimately, I think we have a better chance of it being Mace Windu than fucking Ezra.
Which it's not going to be Mace Windu either.
No, probably not. Like, I still believe it's going to be Luke. Or I still say Luke is going to play some part in Mandalorian, even if it's only like a 5-second appearance. We will see Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian.
Well, you did put your money where your mouth is, and there is $1 on the bet on the board for that. I disagree. I don't think Luke's going to be a part of this. I think we could survive this fucking saga without a Skywalker appearance. I think you could bring in. The Cal Kestis idea is intriguing to me.
Sure,
because it's an open-ended character. Right, there was no logical conclusion to what happened to Cal Kestis. I mean, if you played through the video game, you kind of know what happened to him at that point.
Yeah, like him and Bug Eyes are just like out hopping around the galaxy.
And there was actually some clickbaity stuff out there that I made the mistake of fucking looking. But I saw enough memes where I was like, people had put like that the kid who played Cal Kestis was like on his IMDb had like fucking the Mandalorian, which it's not. It wasn't there.
Oh,
That would
like
have
a
been
doctored image or something.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. But yeah, they photoshopped that on there because I would look at it and go like, it's just not on there. But it is a way to make let's bring some relevancy back to that Fallen Order game because, oh, by the way, one of the things that was bandied about is that they were going to make a fucking sequel to that game, to Fallen Order.
Yep, and they have made it very clear that they are not afraid to make non-cinematic canon important parts of these stories.
I agreed.
So they're not afraid to explore that space. So I mean, it could happen.
We would have a fucking show. Boy, Big Sweet today, man.
He's got some problems. Is everything okay?
You know what it was? I buggered off for like half the day today at work.
Oh,
because I was Reese Across America. The truck dropped the wreaths off today, so I had to go collect those and put them in the storage for this weekend. But so I was offline basically all afternoon. So I haven't even looked to see what drama has happened in the fucking squadron for the training shop. But Isaac can't see Sweet's comments. Well, we'll throw it up on the thing so you can see it there. If basically anything that Sweet has said through it, insert fuck Luke Skywalker or fuck.
You say fuck anything at this point, yeah. So, all right, moving on. Anything else to say about Chapter 15 before we close up for the day?
No.
Right.
I mean, if you're watching this series, if you're watching The Mandalorian right now, and you're not on the edge of your fucking seat, whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, like, if you're into this series, like somebody like my wife is, and you're not on the edge of your seat wondering what the fuck is going to happen next, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. There's your emotion chip is fucking fried and you need it replaced because this may be one of those episodes where I'm up until 3 a.m. to see it.
For the finale?
For the finale.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather be tired in the morning and have seen it while I was relatively awake than trying to wake up and see it first thing in the morning.
Right. And especially since, like, for me, I watch it with Kristen. So we normally watch it the evening that it comes out. So if it comes out like 3 a.m. Friday morning, we'll watch it Friday night. I'm going to have to be very vigilant about staying offline and not getting fucking spoiled this week.
Chapter 14 and 15, and not anybody here in the chat, TPS reports notwithstanding, but not anybody in our group, our core group in the sidebar, was ruining anything for her. But there was all these little elements that even casual social media viewing was making comments about, like Fett and the other stuff. So I had to stop what I was doing and fucking watch it.
Oh yeah, and fucking the clickbaity websites and even like other websites that are more legitimate that I have in my Google News feed, they're spoiling shit in the fucking headlines. Yeah. Like I remember, I think it was chapter 14. It was like, what does Boba Fett's appearance in The Mandalorian mean for the next? I'm like, what the fuck, man? Come on. Yeah. I haven't watched the goddamn episode yet. It's fucking 4 hours since it fucking debuted, you cocksuckers.
Yeah, well, it's that the age we live in, right? With this fucking with the way the social media is, like they want to be the first one.
Yeah.
So I'll just stay off of social media.
Yeah, well, it's not just social media, at least not for me. It's my fucking news feed too. I have to stay off of that. So hopefully no important breaks. Yeah, it's all right. We'll be buried under 3 feet of snow anyway, right?
I don't know, Kelly. What's the latest projections? Big Sweet was sending me our resident weather girl was sending modeling of what the snow was going to look like.
Where we are in Jersey, I don't think we're going to get hit that bad. It's like north and west of us are the ones that are going to get.
We're on the bubble. We're on that I-95 corridor where it could turn to rain, like some part of the system, and just be like 3 inches of absolute just sloppy mess. At that point, I would rather have fucking 10 inches of snow. I would rather have it because let me shovel it out of the way and fucking then you're done with it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. So next week, as promised, we are still doing the From a Gen X point of view Christmas special, where we compare A Christmas Story to Christmas Vacation. That is still coming next week.
Yes.
Depending on what happens in the Mandalorian finale, we may have to do a back-to-back ATSW and Gen X POV next week. So we'll see what happens in Mando. If we deem that episode by itself is worthy of an episode of this podcast, we will do that also. So, but no matter what, we will have our Gen X POV Christmas episode because we've been building this up for a while. Comparing A Christmas Story to Christmas Vacation. I've got a lot that I want to say about this. So I'm really looking forward to that episode.
I wonder if there's maybe if we do a Christmas episode on Sunday and then have Mando Monday.
We could do that.
Yeah, just so we're not trying to squeeze too much into one evening.
Yeah, or vice versa, like do a Mando on Sunday. This way it's closer to the release.
I mean, either way, I like Mando Monday though. It rolls off the tongue.
That is true. That does make a lot of sense. But we'll figure it out.
It's the NAM. All right, we're on the post show. We're gonna tell you have to explain to us what the
But that's for the post show. So please, if you want to hear a lot of our post show ramblings, subscribe to our YouTube channel, preferably the Gen X POV YouTube channel. So search on YouTube From a Gen X Point of View, subscribe to us. You get all of the good shit. Everything that we do, be it all things Star Wars or Gen X POV, goes out to all of our feeds, but we need more subscribers to our Gen X Point of View YouTube channel.
Yeah, we need to get to that century mark so that we can get our URL and start getting a little bit more groundswell on that.
Yes, and we need 5-star reviews on iTunes.
A reminder that Dragon Buddy has left somebody has left a review over Audible. So we'll have to we'll have to look at that and see search D's nuts.
All right, fair enough.
And see what that comes up with for Audible. But you can find us either way. Either you can find the Gen X Point of View From a Gen X Point of View podcast over the YouTube or on iTunes or Google Play or Google Podcasts or whatever the fuck they're calling themselves now, on Spotify, on Audible, anything that you can get a podcast on, your toaster, your smart fridge, you can get us. So get on there, figure out a way to if you're on Audible, leave us a review there or via iTunes. Email us at genxpov at gmail.com. You can leave us a review there. Just got to remember to check it. But yeah, we love our Star Wars podcast, and we love our audience there. We want some of you guys to join us on the Gen X Point of View for the non-Star Wars content.
Yes.
And all of those things, including our friends, the ATSW Escape Pod, who are in the chat right now representing. I'm pretty sure. You can. Scott Rasmussen was logged in earlier from the Used and Abused podcast. You can find them also on podbelly.com. Go to podbelly.com/directories. You can find the ATSW Escape Pod, the All Things Star Wars podcast, the Used and Abused podcast, a fuck ton of other podcasts you can get on there. Or you can go to the main network subscribers, and you will find us From a Gen X Point of View there as one of sweets on a roll.
Yep.
As one of those things. Or if you're just into the YouTube content, Big Swede's got a lot of that covered. Search Big Swede's Excellent Adventure or Tactical Swede, or watch ATSW Escape Pod. You can pick up all the extra sweeting that can go on for that. And last but not least, our buddy Keith Lehman is producing content out there in Facebook land. Look for Lehman's Terms. Yep. And support him. He's really funny. It's a shame I'm not into magic because I don't understand what's happening a lot of the time, but it's the delivery is great and it's fun.
Yep. It's good shit. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We will be back next week, no matter what, with 1 or 2 episodes of our podcast. It's going to be fun. We've got a fun couple of weeks ahead of us. I'll just say that. So thanks everybody for joining us. And until next time, Dave and everybody else, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Okay, now what do I click?
All right.
I gotta pee.
All right. I just jot down the time. Note the time. Dave Chappelle jerking off. Crazy. So we didn't talk about fantasy football because I didn't want to dig too much into our weeks, but I did end up with the first seed overall, as you probably all know, which, quite frankly, I know how to play fantasy football. I've been doing it for a long time. I personally felt like I had a great draft, despite the C+ or whatever the fuck Yahoo gave me. C+! I know I drafted a good team. And it shows, as I now am the number 1 seed. Keith Lehman, as we talked about, number 2 seed overall. It's looking like Kristen is not going to make it past the first round of the playoffs. She is going to lose to, I believe that is the Tony Ferrari, Master McCaffrey. But more importantly, it looks like next week it is going to be myself versus the one and only Dave Martin in the semifinals of the Fantasy Football League. So it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting. Though, honestly, like I said, I am fully expecting to get bounced in my first playoff game because that's what top seeds tend to do. You know, they make it to the big time and then they just fail when the pressure's on. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's, you know, I had the advantage of Swede not having a good week. Let's face it, we're Eagles fans, you know, myself, Big Swede, Keith Lehman, but try and keep the Eagles out of my roster because I try and keep fantasy as a sport, not as where my heart is. But that being said, I had Wentz for a while and he was fine. Fuck fantasy.
Man, he is on point. All he has to do is just say fuck something, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what, the Eagles are making themselves a fucking quarterback controversy. I can't say I agree with it. I think I still think Wentz is the better option than a Jalen Hurts, but
right.
I think what you did. If I can't, you know, it comes down to play calling, right? When you have it out in San Francisco with that Mullins kid who is fucking trying to play quarterback,
yeah,
like, I don't think that kid he wouldn't walk onto a fucking high school team. Like, he looked bad, really bad.
Yeah, he's had a couple of very brief moments this season and last season where he did okay, but he's not the answer.
And I think that's where we're at with Jalen Hurts. Or I think Jalen Hurts a lot more talented because he has that run dynamic. You know,
of course.
You have this. If you can bring out a playbook where you're running, you know, that many times, if you're Russell Wilson, Cam Newton at his prime, right? The plays that you ran for that game, you anticipated the quarterback getting 60, 70 yards a game. Like that was built into your game plan. That was never built into the Eagles' game plan up until they started Jalen Hurts.
Right, and that's the thing that I think you Eagles fans, not you specifically, Dave, but these guys that are already on the fucking Hurts train need to understand is the teams are going to adjust. Like, you might get away with this a few times, but in the long run, teams are going to adjust. Look at Colin fucking Kaepernick.
Yeah, and
he is the perfect example of shit like that.
And it's the shame of it is success. It's really, really difficult in a town like Philly to take success. Like, okay, you beat the fact that they were up against the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah. Right.
Hadn't given up a 100-yard rusher. You know, you have all these accolades that you can, you know, put on Jalen Hurts and say, okay, this is why. But here's the reality. If you look at every snap, like, was every snap a success? No, he had He had errant balls. He made rookie decisions, and he's a rookie. That's fine. But that lightning in a bottle, that's not what you build your franchise around. You build your franchise around a guy who you have a big enough playbook where you can get further. You just got to put some support around them.
Yeah.
Like you start Jalen Hurts around the back behind this offensive line, the 13th different offensive line.
Yeah. So of course he's going to be running for his life for most of that game.
It really, I watched the other night and it reminded me of Michael Vick. When Vick got on the Eagles team with Andy Reid had like this secret playbook that he had. It was like, if I had a running quarterback that I could get out of the pocket, these are the plays I would run. And he had success. So I think Peterson had the same deal. Like, okay, let's make this playbook around the run game. And it fucking worked. Yeah. There's no reason that the Eagles should not be running the ball. You know, it's a shit show. It really is. We're looking at the next 3 years of the Eagles being a complete shit show.
Yeah.
And I will never say fuck the Eagles. But right now they painted themselves in a corner that it's going to be very, very difficult to get out of.
Yep. And it's like you said, like the quarterback controversy that they've now created. And with the fan base that you have, it's going to be a disaster.
There were some good tweets because usually during Eagles games, I take to Twitter to release. So I was watching some tweets and Hurts had a fumble, right? And then one of the first tweets that came out was like, "Oh, he had a fumble. Do we blame Wentz for that?" It's valid. Wentz is the problem, but he's not the only problem, and that's just part of it. So. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy a few years of San Francisco suckage.
I forgot to mention, I was going to mention this during my week, but my brother, Joseph, he's been a Bills fan for several years now. Nice. Growing up, he was always a self-proclaimed Cowboys fan, but I think he just did that just to get under like mine and my stepdad's fucking skin because we were 49ers fans, and this was the mid-90s when we fucking loathed the Cowboys. Like that rivalry was just on another level. But like in his more mature years, my brother has been more of a Bills fan. When they beat the 49ers last week, oh God, he was relentless with the fucking text and everything else. I'm like, all right, you got it. But yeah, I meant to give him a thumbs up during the main show, but
Josh Allen's legit. I think the Bills are a legit team. I watched some of that game last night.
Yeah, they beat the Steelers last night too.
Yeah, so the Steelers kind of have exposed themselves the past couple of games. Not literally, like Roethlisberger hasn't exposed himself, but I mean, it's happened before.
Yeah.
The Bills are legit. I picked the Bills to win the division in the beginning of the year. I thought New England's time was over. I think we talked about it on the pod. I was like, New England, their reign of terror is fucking over in the AFC. And it's time for teams like Buffalo to have a chance to fucking step up.
And they've always felt over the last few years too. They were one of those teams that were like right on the cusp, right? They just needed something to kind of get them over that hump. Yeah. And it seems like they found it.
Yeah, Josh Allen has matured, and then you get a guy like a Cole Beasley, right, who's a super dynamic slot receiver, right? You get a Stephon Diggs coming from the Minnesota Vikings, who's always right on the brink. Like, if you follow him on fantasy, you're like, okay, this is a good points guy, but sometimes he has bad days. You put talent around your arm talent, and that's what happens. Do they have a stud fucking running back right now? No, they don't. I mean, they had Frank Gore running for them last year. So, running back, they're not super deep, but there's enough talent in the receiving core that you can win football games. And that's you can't say that like if you insert Eagles into that, where you can't get Carson Wentz couldn't mature in the system because of injury, and then running for his life in a shitty situation. And then, oh, by the way, you have old ass fucking can't move Jason Peters, a traffic cone, finally take him out for the season. Alshon Jeffrey, who couldn't fucking he caught that one touchdown pass. I think that's the only fucking ball he's caught all season.
Really?
Yeah, I like stupid. Like, why are we paying this man?
Hmm.
Right? He spent most of the season injured. It. You all right over
Yeah, I saw her.
there? Yeah, but the Bills are legit, man. I like them. I don't know how deep they can go, but
Yeah.
think about it. Like, now that the reign of the evil empire is over, right? The Browns are winning football games.
Which I'm still shocked by. Like, I don't buy it. Like, this has got to be strictly a product of COVID and no other reason.
Maybe you mean Baker Mayfield's talented. They've got talent on that team. They got a good running back duo, which we're going to see tonight. Hopefully, Hunt gets me some points so I can really rack up against Swede, who's
Right.
already fuck fantasy. So
Yeah.
I think when you take a team like New England, and especially in a division, and say like, hey, New England's not the same. We can actually win this division. Let's actually go out there and spend money and get talent to fucking beat those guys. Because there's got to be at some point where you go like, fuck, we can't. We're never going to beat fucking Belichick. We're not going to be able to win the division. We're constantly fighting against every other team in the fucking AFC to try and get and make it the playoffs.
Yeah.
So fuck it. We'll wait. Eventually their reign of terror has to end, and then we can actually play football games.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying right now.
Yeah. So for me at this point, in the AFC, I'll be cheering for the Bills for my brother, and in the NFC, I'll be cheering for the Rams for my grandfather. That's basically where I am, because I know the Niners are out at this point. Eagles are out.
Yeah.
So that's basically who I'm pulling for. I'll be pulling for the Bills and the Rams at this point for the rest of the season. If I even watch a game. Honestly, I have not watched an NFL football game since week 1.
Yeah.
It's because, again, the COVID shit, the no crowds, just
it is.
Can't do it.
We talked ad nauseum about the fucking product and it being unwatchable, but I'm a sucker, man. I'd get drawn into it because it's shit like fantasy football and stuff like that. I still am annoyed with the crowd noise or lack thereof, and the empty stadiums are just fucking depressing.
Yeah.
Just depressing. But thinking about that Bills game last night, they're beating the Steelers in a quiet stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what the Bills are. Like, there was snow. Like, you had snow on the falling on the football game in the beginning. This is like perfect Buffalo Bills football weather.
Oh yeah, it would have been an event.
Yeah.
It would have been a huge event. That crowd would have been fucking crazy.
Yeah. And I guess it gives us something to look forward to. At some point, we'll get back to that.
Which, by the way, so I don't think there's any part of this that I am not supposed to talk about. But basically, they've in my current wing, your former wing, they've been looking for volunteers for the COVID vaccine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I put my name in the hat. I'm like, yeah, fucking do it. Because we're getting, if you follow the news, the COVID vaccine is on the road. Like they've shipped it out. Like this first wave is going
today.
And, I put my name on the list. I'm like, fuck it. It's untested. Sure, some people have gotten fucking Bell's palsy after getting the fucking vaccine. Quite frankly, at this point, I just want to get this shit over with. I am so fucking done with all of this bullshit. Even after getting the fucking thing.
It would be nice to have that checkbox to be able to be like, okay, did you get the vaccine? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to restrict you, even though I'm nervous about the long term. Like, is this virus going to be effective in the long term? I don't think we don't have the studies out there yet.
No.
So I think you get a false sense of security by starting issuing vaccines, but I mean it's got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. And like I said, fuck it. I put my name out there. I'll do it.
I want to get it to all the nurses and shit like that are.
Oh yeah, and those are the people that'll get it first. Like
they're swimming in it,
yeah,
and watching people die constantly, and those are like, yes, give them the vaccine.
Oh yeah, and that's the way it's going to be.
Think of how many experimental vaccines we've already gotten, Jason.
And that's the thing. I'm like
of military service.
Yeah, the military has injected us with so much shit over the years. It's like, fuck it. Might as well throw this on there too, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, did we talk about the flu vaccine?
I haven't got mine yet. I really need to.
Whatever is in this year's fucking flu vaccine, dude, myself and several other people have noticed that your arm is really fucking sore afterwards. It's like getting a typhoid shot. You remember what the typhoid shots were like? Where your arm hurt like a motherfucker for like 3 days?
You gotta go throw a bullpen session to keep it fucking from swelling too much.
Yeah, the regular fucking flu vaccine this year was like that. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on out there right now.
Yeah, it's this is probably the latest I haven't gotten the flu shot. And mainly because I didn't want to get sick on top of everything else. Like I've just been congested and everything else just for the weather change. But I'm definitely afraid of getting this fucking thing again.
Me too. And that's one of the reasons why I put my name on the list. I'm like, if my immunity is only good for like up to 6 months after getting the actual fucking virus, then give me the goddamn vaccine. Because I don't ever want this fucking virus again.
The VA, I know the VA is looking for people to volunteer for it.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But
I got to be there. I got to be in Philly this week.
Oh, fun!
Or in ECG or something.
EKG?
No, echocardiogram. So they're looking at my heart, like the ultrasound of my heart. This is part of the COVID thing, right? Because I still don't have my full, like, I still can't take like full breaths.
Right.
That swelling.
Fuck.
So I got that test this week.
Well, hate to leave things on a bad note, but I do have to go eat my dinner now.
Yeah, I got to feed the dog.
Yeah.
Her rice. We got her on that rice and chicken, like super bland diet.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, I think this is time where the after show ends. So thanks everybody who's still stuck with us. We still got a lot of people in the chat and a lot of people viewing. So that's awesome. Yes, we'll read the Audible review. Man, these guys are really like pushing the Audible reviews. So
we'll
do that. Yeah, we'll have those for next week. And yeah,
he's writing it down. You can see him. He's writing it down right now.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks, Dave.
Peace out, bitches.
I'm out. See you soon.